Ladies and gentlemen, we're live.
And we're live. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick. This episode is brought to you by not Jameson whiskey, but we're going to be sipping some whiskey today. Welcome to the Soscast. Typically, all we talk is money. You know, they say money makes the world go round, but then some people say all you need is love. So is it love? Is it money? But we have the perfect panel to basically dissect love, money, relationships, lifestyle, dating, all that fun stuff today. So happy St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully everybody is, having
Having
sober,
a good time.
having a good time.
Look at the Irish.
Look at the Irish.
Look at the Irish to you.
So amazing cast of characters here. Let's start with the ladies. Introduce yourself. Tell us your age. Maybe give us a quick bio, what you do for work, and we'll get to Rollo at the end.
Okay, my name is Meira Brody. In the States, I mainly go by Brody. I'm 23 years old. I was born and raised in Israel, moved here about 2.5 years ago.
Shalom.
Shalom, ma kore?
Beseder.
מצוין.
That's all I got.
Okay. You and every other American
Exactly.
Jew. But and I'm a bartender. I would describe myself as a new adult finding my way.
You're
Trying
starting to adult.
Starting to
You're
adult,
adulting.
trying to find a sustainable
Mazel
way to be
tov.
happy,
There you go.
and that's it really.
Cool.
Yeah.
The lovely lady on your left.
Hi, I'm Tori. Hi, Tori. Hi.
Keep going, Tori. Don't stop there. Don't stop there.
I have a podcast of my own, and I also bartend. I haven't bartended in 6 months, but yeah, that's it, really.
And how old are you?
Oh, I'm 27.
27.
Yeah.
So some young ladies. And sir, this fine debonair
Hi.
looking fresh in
Hello
the
there,
white on
yes.
white on white.
You told me to wear my hair down last
did
time,
like
and I
that.
didn't. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do it this time. And I can't do anything with it here in Miami, so it's I'm wondering how you guys can.
Don't be jealous.
Yes, I know. I need a flat iron.
So Rollo, introduce
Rollo
yourself.
Tomassi. I'm the author of the Rational Male series of books. There are 4 now. There soon will be 5 by the end of this month or into the beginning of April. I'm just going through the approval process of getting the 5th one published right now, and that will launch very, very soon. I have technically 2 podcasts. I'm on the Rational Male, and I have the Rational Male Clips. I've been doing that for quite some time as well, and I come on shows like this and I speak my piece.
That's true. So, well, welcome to the show, everybody. So we have 2 bartenders and a professional dating expert extraordinaire, I would say.
Intersexual dynamics. I'm a student of intersexual dynamics.
All right. Well, I am neither. I think you do not
And
want
I'm
me.
a mixologist.
You are,
Mixologist,
yes.
exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what's funny is
Liquid
in another life, prior to me really prior to 2020, I was in wine and spirits for a very long time. I did brand management, art direction for, actually was an importer-exporter out of Orlando, Florida. And so I actually have some stakes in a couple of brands as well. So I'm very familiar with the alcohol industry.
I know how to make a Jack and Coke.
There you
so.
go. We're always looking for
Well, there it is.
mixologists.
Well,
Yes.
speaking of very familiar with the alcohol industry, it's St. fucking Patty's Day,
Yeah.
okay? So we got Tyler on the 1s and 2s over there.
Where's
Tyler.
the Blarney Stone? We need
So
a Blarney Stone.
what I wanted to do is let's keep this light, let's keep this tight, let's keep it fresh, Let's start with a little drinking game to get to know one another, and let's play a little have I ever, right? You're familiar with this game? Never have
we
I
go.
ever, right?
Here we
Okay,
go.
so I'm going to ask you questions. If you've done it, you got to drink.
Okay.
Okay?
Hi,
and
Dad.
so usually the way that this game is typically played is you take a shot. People are driving. We don't need any DUIs. So we'll be on our best behavior. We can take a sip. We're drinking whiskey, courtesy of our friends at Jameson. So I'll ask a couple questions, then we'll get into the fun stuff, okay? St. Patty's Day, never have I ever, let's see who drinks. Okay. Never have I ever, again, if you've done it, you drink. Never have I ever lied about how much money you have.
I've certainly done that. I'm just trying to drink.
Okay. Tori and I have lied about how much money we have.
Adam's supposedly a
Yeah,
millionaire.
everyone says allegedly a millionaire. Now I actually am, but when they say when you're young, when I started off in the financial services world, I was 26.
Yeah.
And I was broke as shit. And they're sending me to meetings, and I have to network with serious financial types. So how they say you got to fake it till you make it. So I had one suit. It was a Donald Trump suit. He was a different person at that point. You like that one? And I pretended I was like this successful young 26-year-old, but I was crashing on couches. But hey, you got to fake it till you make it. But that only works if you
Dress for
actually
the job you want.
Yeah, that only works if you actually make it. So why did you lie about how much money's in your bank account?
I was homeless and I only had a little bit of money left, and I was trying to rent in Las Vegas, and so you had to make a certain amount a year. So I lied on this thing, made up a whole career. I had a guy that was going to take the call. They figured out it was fake or whatever.
Like,
but
this girl didn't get no money.
She's
Rollo, you've never
broke
lied
bitch.
about your wealth.
I've never had to. Quite
Okay.
honestly, I've never had to. I mean, I have been broke as shit, and I'm where I'm at right now. So I've seen it from all sides, and I've never
Nice.
I don't think I've ever had the occasion to have to even do that.
Now, when you say you're at where you're at right now, would you classify yourself as successful? You're still working your way to success?
Definitely. Well,
Okay.
I'm always working. Like, see, I don't believe in contentment. I think that the human condition is discontent. I hate to go all philosophical on you, but
Here we go.
But it's I think that we are managing different levels of discontent, and I'm always doing something. I'm always if it's not in writing books or it's doing the podcast, or that's what I'm doing now. As I was saying before, it's like I used to work in the alcohol industry. I used to work in gaming, like as in gaming and casinos and stuff like that as well. And I'm always doing something else. People say, "When are you going to retire?" I'm not going to retire. I don't see why I would. I'm going to put my foot on the gas.
Let me tell you something, bro. I'm 100% with you. So I have a term that I use because I have a money class that I do with Valuetainment, and what phase you're in my life, I entered that phase when I was 35, and it was what's called chilling. I found myself chilling at age 35, meaning I had money coming in. I had no debt. It was debt free. I had enough saves. I was investing. I had all my insurance in place. Everything was good, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to retire. Like when I'm fucking 35 years old, who just retires and does nothing? And I found myself chilling. And when you're chilling, was when you can own your time. And when you can own your time, you do what you want with your time.
Well, and then
time is
the
money.
other thing is that I've always thought, if I get to the point where I've got excess, I'm going to put it into projects. I want to do something with my money, and that's why I work with Torshaa, for example, or I work with Kevin Savo, and I do things that I think are worthwhile that I want to fund as well. I don't just sit on all my money like Scrooge McDuck and go, I got my money.
So how do you two know each other? You said you helped Torshaa.
I helped Torshaa out because she was on TikTok, and is that how we met? Through
how long
TikTok.
ago was this?
Back
a year.
in August.
Oh, so this is relatively
Well, that's
new.
when I met you in
Okay.
person, but prior to that, I think it was June of last year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
All right.
probably.
Yeah, and so you were doing TikTok videos. That's where your claim to fame was.
Yeah.
And then you had a lot of correct me if I'm wrong, but you
Thank you
had
so
a
much.
you had a lot of your fans or your followers were
Yes.
saying you need to talk to Rollo. You need to talk to Rollo, and we just happened to be in Miami. I was doing Fresh and Fit again in August, and
Shout out to the boys.
and you happened to be down there.
FNF gang, City Boys,
we did one. You did a quick hit interview on your cell phone, and I think that's just
Yeah.
how we just sort of said, okay, let's
Yeah.
start a podcast or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. You summed
She's
it up.
she's a protege.
She's a new friend.
Yes,
And a protege.
Yes, and so
Okay.
is a guy like Kevin Savo as well, who I'm working with. He's an independent film producer. He's got a web series called Captain Savo, which is a
His
comedy.
last name is Savo.
Well,
and
yeah,
his-
Savo,
sorry.
right? Yeah,
And he goes by
and it's-
Captain
and it's,
Savo.
and it's
By
by the way, it's a comedy. It's campy.
Yeah.
And he asked me to come and do a cameo appearance, and I'm like, sure, why not? I flew out to Connecticut. I've never been to Connecticut in my life. I'm like, what am I doing on this plane going out to meet this guy? But he's 25 years old. He's an independent filmmaker, and he does this kind of stuff. He also does rap videos as well. And we're working on. He's actually part of technically 4 brothers, but 3 brothers. And it's the Savo family kind of thing, and they do videos and everything else. And I'm like, oh, this is great. This is something I want to produce. This is something I want to be invested in.
So you
financially.
mentor people from time to time.
Well, it's not so much mentor as it is I want to fund projects that I think are worthwhile.
Gotcha.
And she was worthwhile. Kevin's worthwhile. There's other people that I work with as well.
Well, when
too.
you reach a phase in your financial life where you,
Yes.
for instance, I'm not a minimalist, but I don't need stuff. I like to do stuff, not acquire stuff, and you can invest in people.
Yes.
I helped fund a crypto fund, my best friend. I gave him some seed capital, 50 grand years ago. Boom, the guy killed it. Now he's doing crypto. So you invest in people that you believe in.
Well,
you believe in her.
Yes. And then the other thing is when you're you see these guys with these lifestyle brands and everything on Instagram or whatever else, and it's, draped across a Lamborghini or whatever, on a yacht somewhere. And it's I don't want to do that. I would rather do what I do for like the everyman. You know what I mean? Like the guy in the Midwest in Oklahoma, for example, or in Butte, Montana, or whatever else. It's got to be for everybody, and that's great. I mean, people love that lifestyle, but sometimes it's hard to relate to that or to to resonate with that, I guess. And so I'm looking for guys who don't have a lot of capital, who are still like really on fire to do something. We always complain about this Generation Z. It's like, oh, they're just, especially guys, right? They're just these waste cases, and they're the Lost Boys generation, and they're rudderless, and they don't have any purpose in life. And then when you come across one, like Kevin, or you come across her, and they've got a drive to do something, it's like, yes, okay, here, this is worth doing.
You believe in them.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up the whole Lamborghini, driving the cars. Brody, you live in Miami via Israel. You work at one of the hottest nightclubs in South Beach. Very familiar. Shout out to
Shout out to Story.
Okay, cool. Group gang.
Yeah, group gang.
You're an attractive girl. You must get guys in the Lamborghinis, baby. Let me take care of you. I mean, what kind of stuff do you run into being a bartender in South Beach?
So being a bartender, you're not dealing with tables. People that purchase tables at Story, you're looking at between, I would say, $3,000 to $12,000.
For a table at a club.
For a table.
Well, one of the things I always say.
That's your place.
No. Bodega. Shout out to Bodega. Well, what they say is you're not buying the liquor, you're not buying the alcohol, you're not buying the table, you're buying the real estate in the club.
Yes.
The experience too. Okay, so what do you run into?
And Story really puts on an incredible show.
Yes, they
but
do.
what I'm working up to is that I get the general admission. So these are usually younger groups of people, tourists, and I do get hit on all the time, but never really does it make me think for a minute, like, maybe. It's usually, I'm nice.
Is there any chance that a dude rolls up to the bar that he can get your number? Any chance?
If he charms me, but I don't mind giving my Instagram. Giving my
There
number,
it
I'm a little
is.
bit more cautious
The
about.
old Instagram.
There it is.
Yeah, and then
That's
I get
how
to
we
see
do
what
it.
his life looks like.
That's
and
how we do it.
It's fine.
Look at this
but
loser.
Are you
from Oklahoma.
cool
Sorry,
enough
buddy.
to hang out with me?
Sorry, buddy.
I also think it's so counterproductive to like hit on your bartender at a club with 200, 300 gorgeous girls from all these states in America where they don't understand yet how stunning they are and their power, like as a woman, and they're all going to the club and they're really only there to look for fun. Why are you hitting on the bartender who's busy?
So why should they not hit on the bartender?
Well, it's loud. I'm annoyed. I'm busy.
You're busy.
I'm trying to get my
Really?
money. I don't have
And
time
you're a
to
bartender.
talk.
You've said you bartender. Do you agree with Brody over here?
Why?
Do you ever give your number out? Meet a guy at the bar being a bartender?
Yeah, $1,000.
Oh.
I'll give it out. What the fuck do you mean?
That's what it costs. So if a guy hits you, it's like, listen, baby, $1,000
do
bucks, we
it.
can hang out later.
Yeah, I hustle. I don't got time.
Really?
To sit and talk. Yeah,
So what does that look like?
$1,000.
Yeah, I know what that looks like, very much so.
Green,
But
it's paper.
when he gives you the money,
Yeah, and then I give him my number. Yeah.
Or is it Instagram?
Just the number costs $1,000.
Yeah.
Follow you on
Okay.
Instagram? Is that $500? Follow me on Insta.
How much
Now
would
you're
it cost?
giving me
No,
ideas.
I
How much would it cost to get your number?
I'm wondering
If
what
a
the
guy at
menu is.
I don't think it would cost anything, but it would be very attractive for somebody to buy
Demand
me a
it.
drink or,
Buy your bartender a drink. I like that.
Well,
All right.
well, no, I
How
don't
novel.
drink at
Don't-
work,
we
but
drink
still.
for free.
Let's get into it. All right, we're gonna
right, next one.
Never have I ever borrowed money from a partner.
I did.
Ladies are drinking. Okay. What happened?
I had just moved to Miami. I didn't have a job yet, and my rent was short $300. So I had to borrow from the guy that I was dating, and I paid him back like the second I got my paycheck, which was maybe 3 days later, and it was like the most mortifying thing I've ever done.
Why did it feel so
Why?
horrible?
I have nothing against a guy spoiling me, but I don't like asking. I feel like it's really like it puts me in a position where I'm needy, and that's like independence to me is the most important thing.
They
ever.
love doing it.
Really?
I mean, it's great if they love doing it, and I love that too. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, my biological brain is like, oh man, provides. But I'm so in love with being independent.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't give it up for anything. And I definitely don't want to have to ask for, extra help.
Yeah, it's
I
uncomfortable.
don't do it for my parents, so I'm not gonna do it for my
Do,
partner.
do, do you worry about being obligated for other things if you accept?
Absolutely.
Like
Explain. Yeah, great question, Rollo.
Well, if it's a partner already, then it's not as
Right, like you're
that
willing to give
exactly.
it up.
You know, like I'm already with you.
Yeah. But if it was like a friend or a guy you kind of knew, there would be some sort of obligation.
Paid your
with it.
rent. Gotcha.
Yeah, a little bit. And I'm not afraid that I'll do something that I don't want to do. I'm afraid that I'll have to have an awkward conversation of like, hey, that's, you know.
That's awkward.
Remember that money you owe me?
Yeah. So what happened with you, Tori?
I parked downtown Chicago and my car got towed and I didn't have enough money to take it out because my wallet was in the car. And I don't know if you've ever gotten your car towed there, but yeah, I never paid that back.
So what'd you do?
He paid for it.
The dude paid for it.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
And then what? I was dating him.
Okay, gotcha. It was a guy you were
So
dating.
we banged. Yeah, for sure.
And we had sex in the back seat
Hi,
of that
Dad.
vehicle. Thanks, Dad. Rollo, what are your thoughts on these girls asking you guys for money?
I've never borrowed money from a
Yeah.
partner before. I have had women give me money before. in the
Really?
past, yes.
For what?
But
On some
I-
Tinder swindler type shit?
No. I mean,
Not
this
that
this
you
is
would be-
way back in my rock star 20s. But I have been with women who have like bought me things, nice things, but it hasn't been like, oh, I was out of money or I was like, I needed help with the rent or anything like that. It's more like a gift kind of thing, I guess.
Okay.
No, the reason I was asking about the obligation is because I think that a lot of girls will not, or they're hesitant. They have to get to a point of like real desperation if they accept sort of a. I hate that it seems like a bribe, you know, or it's an obligation. Like, oh, here's some. Don't worry, baby, I got it for you. And then like I think a lot of women don't want, independent or not, don't want to take that. Because they'll feel obligated to do something or to like be a certain way because the guy actually stepped up and like paid your rent or got your car out of
You're married. You've been married for 20 plus years
25
right now.
years. Uh-huh.
So it doesn't, I mean, when it's your wife, you share the income.
She borrows from me.
Sure. Okay. So my question is, you ever like paid for, like I used to have a girl that lived with me and she didn't have a job and I would pay her to help me out. And it was like an awkward business dating
Sugar
relationship.
baby?
Yeah, but it was like my girl. Like she lived with me. But
Sugar baby.
yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's a sugar
Okay.
baby?
Yeah.
I feel like a sugar baby doesn't live with you.
No, they do.
I think there's different
All right,
types.
shit,
of
I thought it was my
relationships.
girpay this whole time. But have you ever had to
I-
pay
Still
for a
pay.
girl that lived with you?
Not real. The only woman I've ever really lived with is my wife.
Gotcha.
But like, I mean, when I was living down in North Hollywood back in the day, it was. It wasn't really an issue. I think it was
Okay.
more like, I mean, I was playing a role that like women wanted to be a part of at that time. And so that's how you get like, oh, let me buy you a leather jacket. Let me buy you this. Do you ever watch the Dirt on Netflix for Motley Crue, like back in the day? And like
I've watched Joe Dirt. I love that movie.
Vince Neil was like living
Neil.
with his girlfriend, and she would like buy him those the leather pants are very important part of that documentary. Like,
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Is gifts kind of thing.
Gotcha. Gifting. All right, let's.
That's a way of expressing love. It's not
It's
necessarily
one of your love
like-
language,
Yeah.
gifting,
Yeah, I like making, but I also
Here
like
we
acts
go.
of service, like
receiving
cooking.
or giving. Gifts.
I like both. I mean, I have all the languages of love, obviously, but
Oh.
my main one would probably be quality time
Okay.
and acts of service.
Shout out to you. All right,
out to me.
let's. Well, that was some money stuff. The ladies drank. Rollo has not drank yet. Let's see if we can get Rollo to drink. Never have I ever blocked an ex's number. Brody's drinking. No drinking for Rollo.
I'm
huh?
trying
I
to
don't
think. I'm trying to
know.
think if.
I think we respectfully just cut off contact.
That's it. There's
We-
no blocking.
No,
I don't think we needed to.
Of course, the last ex I had was like back in the early '90s, but
So there's no blocking.
So there's no blocking, but I will
Gotcha.
say
I unplugged that fucking cordless phone.
Let
Yep.
me clear like the 1990s version of ghosting.
Yes. You've ghosted.
Yes. Oh yes.
So you've just
absolutely.
ghosted.
So
I think that's
does
so
that
messed
count?
up.
Because then I'll drink if that.
Rollo's drinking. Rollo ghosted. Rollo's drinking some whiskey. What happened with you that why you had to block the guy's number?
So interestingly enough, it is somebody that was mentioned here before we started the podcast. We had a very intense
Tell it.
beginning. I'm not going to say just because I don't want any beef, but it
already
ended really
beef.
abruptly and really badly because there was like a lot of love bombing, I think, in the
What is
beginning.
love bombing?
So
Is that a term you're familiar with?
I met this person, and like on the first day that I met them, they were confessing their love for me.
Oh, I know this move. I have a friend that does this move.
Like in
he
public,
says, "I love you. We're gonna get
exactly.
married." That whole thing.
It works.
Does that fucking work?
So for me, it was
Sometimes.
super red flag, and I said a few times like,
How old
"Hey,
are you? You're 23.
23, yeah. So this to me was like a little bit of a red flag. I didn't want to be naive and stupid, but I also loved the
But
attention.
it worked.
Obviously.
Hello, yes.
So we dated for like maybe a week, honestly, and then his behavior became so overbearing that
Yeah.
I broke it off, and he like tweeted about me, and he just totally got really mad, which was not my intention. I thought I was so mature about it, but I ended up blocking him because I was worried about like his reaction.
Aggressive. So, Tori, you've never blocked a dude's number?
No. I don't
You've never
think so.
ghosted a guy?
No, I wouldn't.
You're respectful?
I think so.
Okay. Well, let's find out. Here's the next question.
Hey.
Never have I ever waited more than 3 dates to have sex.
Never have I.
Waited more than 3 dates.
Wait, I have.
I have waited more than 3
I've
dates.
waited a very long time, so I drank.
So we have all waited more than 3 dates to have sex.
Yes, regrettably.
Go ahead. Rollo, what happened? The Mac Daddy himself. How long did it take?
We
Well,
might
I
need
mean,
some more Jameson.
Believe it or not, I
we
was
go.
not always the red pill Rollo Tomassi. That's
Okay.
hey, you shock everybody here. I think most guys who get into sort of like red pill manosphere kind of stuff, they have to go through like a cycle. Like people always ask me like, Rollo, how did you get red pilled? Right?
Yeah.
And like it's a verb. And I'm like,
I hate
well,
that.
it's like, you know, there was a time when I was very blue pill, I was very red pill, I was very, you know, my rock star 20s, I didn't care about anything. Then that was actually a very fun, memorable time in my life. And then later on, and you get involved with other people. So it's like one of the iron rules of Tomassi is iron rule number 3, which is any girl that makes you wait for sex, the sex is never worth the wait. And it's not that it's not
I
the
hate this
it's
rule.
not the investment side. Now listen to me before you hear me out, because a lot of people like take this the wrong way. It's about desire. It's about the genuine desire,
true.
not about like I got third date, better get going. You know, it's not that. It's about determining genuine desire. After 3 dates should be more than enough time to figure out if this chick is into you, or if there's some sort of mitigating factor between you getting into bed with her or into a relationship with that.
You must have a lot of people that get mad at that comment.
Oh,
I'm not
that's-
saying I
that
get
is
mad
the-
at you,
that
but
is
there's a lot.
probably-
Really?
Hear me out. Hear me out for a second.
That's the number
There's
one
a lot.
thing I get pissed off
I was
at.
shout out to this event called Model Volleyball. I was just in South Beach. My friends put it on. I was just there this weekend. Interviewed Vince Vaughn. I fucking love that guy. He's
I saw
amazing.
that. Yeah.
And I interviewed a lot of the models, a lot of the females there. I'm saying, how long would you, I said, describe your ideal man. Give me the 3 qualities. Humor was up there, right? Obviously money, attractive, looks, what have you. They described their ideal man. And I said, how long, if you meet this ideal man, would it take for him to get you into bed? And the answers were wildly different. Some girls are like, dude, that night. And some girls are like, no sex till marriage. Total wide range of answers. But you're saying no more than 3. So you must get a lot of hate from this.
That's a 3 strikes rule. But remember, it's not about, oh, well, you want a loose girl. That's not what that's about. It's about determining genuine desire to see if there's like connection there. There's a chemical reaction between you and that person. So it's like if she can't keep her hands off of
Like
you, genuine desire is what I'm talking about. It's not about like, oh, this is a litmus test for whether the girl's loose or she's not, or it's the same night lay versus like 3 dates later. That's not what it's about determining the interest level and the genuine desire.
What does that mean?
Of
Determining the genuine desire.
So is there a chemical reaction between you and that person? I'll give you an example here. Let me give you this story, and I don't think I've told this story in a while. Working in the alcohol industry,
Nice.
I've worked on like say martini fests and things like that for. Certainly up on Church Street in Orlando and down Deerfield Beach.
Yep.
And so what I'm doing is I'm choosing these girls to come and do these events. So I have what I call my poor girls. Okay, now this is back in the day. So
P-O-U-R?
P-O-U-R.
Okay, gotcha.
They're the girls
My
that you-
homeless girls,
well,
no, exactly. They're the drinking, exactly.
You've probably, well, I mean, as a bartender, like bartenders,
Poor
you
girls.
guys would be I would hire you as
P-O-U-R,
poor girls.
pouring shots.
Pouring
Pouring
shots,
shot
right?
girls.
Not
So-
poor
I'm good at that.
broke girls.
So
Got it.
there was one conversation that I had with them at one point, and it was like, would you ever get with a guy and have sex with him on the same night that you met him, or have you ever done that? And of course they're giggling. Of course I have. If if he was hot enough, blah blah blah, but not if he was boyfriend material. And so there was this. I would all of the boundaries and all of the the hot monkey sex that I want to have with this one guy who's the hot guy in the foam cannon party in Cancun on spring break. There's that guy, and then there's the guy who's boyfriend material, and they would make that guy wait, but they wouldn't make the hot guy wait. Because there's this sense of urgency, particularly younger women, because they're at their peak potential. They're at their peak.
What is the
agency
difference
right
between a hot guy that you meet and a guy that you would make your boyfriend? Maybe the ladies chime
That
in
maybe
here.
they can answer
Is there
that
a
for you.
difference? Does he have a point here? Do you agree with Rollo? Does he?
Is there a guy that you want to have sex with on the night that you meet him, or is there a difference between a guy who's like, oh, I think I could really see myself with this guy in the long term?
And is there a difference in timing?
It's really
for
cads
sex?
versus dads, but that's the.
Okay.
I mean, any person that I meet, I don't want to be in the mindset of like negotiating with myself when I can be intimate and when I can't. If I'm already thinking about that, it's not for me. And I do, even if it's just supposed to be for fun, I need somebody to treat me like I'm girlfriend material, just because that shows me that I can be free with my body with that person and he'll respect it.
Well, you were just talking a moment ago about the guy who was love bombing you.
Right.
Right. So is that the guy that was boyfriend material, or was that the guy who was just sort of, fun for now kind of guy?
Well, I was really, really overwhelmed by excitement because he was an exciting person, very big on social media. So I definitely went with it, but I also had in the back of my mind, like, there's no way this is going to work. So I knew that from the beginning just by his behavior. And I just kind of went along for the ride. It ended up being a little bit painful, so I learned my lesson. But it's a lesson that I was, like, totally happy to learn.
What was the lesson?
Just because something seems fun and exciting doesn't mean you have to do it.
Okay.
Tori, have you ever met the hot guy in the foam cannon party in Cancun on spring break?
No, I haven't. I've always
You were
gone-
drunk, he was cute, and one thing led to another.
Never. I've always gone for beta provisioning males, but I understand the dichotomy between the both. So
What is the dichotomy between and what
alpha
do you
fucks, beta bucks, baby?
explain that?
It's the dualistic strategy between hypergamy. So you have, oh God, how do you explain it? Like, you have the guy that you want to fuck the foam cannon party. That's your alpha fucks. So, like, what she's saying, the guy that love bombed her, 20% guy probably was alpha fucks, right? But played it off with the whole beta provisioning side. Like, let me give you this, let me give you that, all of that stuff. So he was trying to
Future
pretend.
forecasting.
Yeah, he's trying to pretend to be that one. She knew right off the bat because she probably... What is it called when you have the instinct as women? It's like you
Maternal
Intuition.
instinct?
intuition
Okay.
that this guy is probably not safe. So
what's the beta bucks part of it?
that's the guy that's gonna give you babies,
Boyfriend material. Long-term
security.
Well, can an alpha also be that guy?
That's the
I
balance, right?
Yeah, I argue that you're going to meet either the alpha guy or the beta guy. It's almost impossible to meet one that encompasses both. So what girls mostly do is even when they think they lowered their standards, they were probably fucking with the 20% dude. Have you ever thought about a guy that you're like, damn, I lowered my standards. This guy was a piece of shit. Something like that.
Honestly, I've been able to pursue pretty healthy relationships in my life, which is why this one only lasted about a week, because it was like immediately no. But I don't know. It's hard for me.
Did he
to
creep,
Wait,
did he creep
wait.
you out?
Why did you guys break up? Like
So I was telling him I need you to take a step back because it's a little bit too intense for me. And he was like, yeah, fine, no, whatever. And then I went out with friends and he like bombarded me with texts. Where are you? What are you doing?
He was the jealous type, the possessive type?
Yeah. And then I said to him,
never a good look,
peace,
guys.
I said, peace and love. I don't think this is it for me anymore.
In a text?
Yeah.
You hit him with a peace and love?
I always say that. Peace and love.
That hurts.
Not interested. But
you've already dated him, you've already slept with him.
How old were you?
Yes.
And you hit him with a peace and love.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. I do think this is a controversial opinion that I have.
Yeah.
I think that text messages are actually a great way to convey your feelings in a really good set way where emotions aren't getting too involved.
Because you can
and
look
then
at them
afterwards,
and understand it,
yeah.
reread it.
Afterwards, if you
Okay,
want to meet
I
up and
agree
have a
with you.
conversation, that's perfectly fine. I need to say my piece. That's
Got it.
How old were you?
This was this year.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll just say, I don't know. I know this is terms that you guys use all the time.
What?
It's hard for me to resonate with the term alpha and beta. I don't know why, but I feel like
Placeholder terms.
if you are trying really hard to like put yourself into one of those categories, then maybe you're being a little bit too analytical about your relationships and you need to be a little bit more intuitive.
Fair point. Would you
do you make a
line.
distinction between high value men and low value men?
Yes, but
Is that what it is?
All it is an abstract
Yeah.
term.
Okay, so
between the two.
Rollo,
Just a
if you would
placeholder.
break down, and Tori, help Rollo if you can, chime in. These alpha fucks, beta bucks, high value men, low value men. Just explain that so
People
the
get-
audience fully understands
people
what
get-
you're talking about.
Well, people get bent out of shape whenever I use the term alpha.
I hate the word.
Unironically,
yeah,
I hate
right?
it.
Literally, I have
Yeah,
a
everybody-
reaction in my body that's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. And because it's just the terminology. If I said high value man, you'd be like, oh, okay, what does he mean by like?
well,
you would be
honestly,
more
even that
intrigued.
now I'm kind of like,
Right.
okay.
Well, because you probably haven't met the guy who is a high value guy that is,
That encompasses both.
that you could identify those characteristics in. So when I say alpha, like people keep saying, oh, you guys think you're alphas, you guys are like silverback gorillas or wolves in the Arctic tundra or something. Like, no, that's not what alpha means. Okay, it's not about like this analytical animal kingdom definition of it. It is an abstract term so that we can use that to get onto other topics so that we can say, okay, there's a high value. You want to call it high value man? Fine. You want to call it an alpha? Fine. Whatever it is, there are guys who have better value, higher value than lesser men.
Is alpha a winner?
Definitely a winner. It depends though,
It
because
depends on how you use it. It's
Yeah.
just a placeholder.
Okay, so
term.
What do you mean a placeholder? What does that mean?
So
it's an abstract term. Is
yeah,
what
it depends on what you're talking about in the moment. I mean,
there are alphas that are in prison who are drug dealers and they're antisocial alphas, and then there are pro-social alphas. I use this. Here's a good way to determine the
please.
two. Okay, so there is Captain America and Iron Man, Tony Stark, right? Both alpha, but both different archetypes of alpha. So you have Captain America, who's squeaky clean and very upstanding, very pro-social. And then you have sort of the scoundrel alpha, who is like Tony Stark, Iron Man. The same, you could say, like Superman and Batman. Batman's the Dark Knight, and he's a vigilante. He does things his own way, whereas Superman is like truth, justice, and the American way. Both alpha,
Gotcha.
but they're both like different archetypes of that alpha. So you can have a guy who is like, guys get really pissed off at me when I start talking about the characteristics of what makes a high value man, what makes an alpha man, right? And then they'll say, well, an alpha to me is a guy who's takes care of his kids and he's married and he's a leader in the church and he's got his own business and he's got this and maybe he's ex-military, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And that's the sort of Superman archetype that they have. And then there's the guy who's like the scoundrel kind of guy who does things his own way, and I tell them, I say, look, there are just as many alphas at church as there are in prison right now. So it just depends on, alpha is a mindset. It's not a demographic.
Got it. Fair. No, thank you for bringing that. Now, what is a beta? And I've also heard a gamma and omega.
Okay, you're
God,
talking
this
about
is like
socio-sexual
that side.
hierarchy.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
You're talking
What is
about
it?
socio-sexual
Socio-sexual hierarchies. There's alpha, beta, gamma, omega. If you would.
You want me to give you an education here?
I know.
In a quick
All right,
quip,
I'll
if
be
you
as
would.
fast as I can here. Okay,
Sure.
so
Sigma male.
So socio-sexual hierarchies, there's
Yes.
alpha, beta, delta, gamma, and omega, if you really
Okay,
want to know that. And then some people say, oh, there's a sigma too. These were designations actually that were brought up and I think were popularized by a blogger and actually I think it's still on YouTube now. It's called Vox Day. And he's got some. If you ever want to get a really good education in like socio-sexual hierarchies,
Pull up
that's what he talks.
the Socio-Sexual hierarchy so we can get a picture of this.
Hierarchies.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Tyler.
And so he brought up the idea that alpha is one designation, beta is sort
Images.
of like
Hit images.
Yeah, beta is sort of his.
Which image should
like
he hit? The one right there
mean-
with the Taurus bull. Yeah, boom. You got alpha at the top,
Yeah.
aka sigma.
mean-
Then you have a beta, because beta, I feel like
Beta's
people
the
think like beta.
sidekick. Beta's the sidekick.
I
He's
love
the
my
Robin.
betas.
Beta is the
He's
alpha
kinda-
is the Batman. Beta is the Robin.
Beta's kind of like the sidekick, the guy who
Okay.
hangs out with the alpha because he wants to
Cool.
get the leftovers from the alpha.
Gotcha.
Right? Okay. The delta is kind of like the vast majority of guys, which is like they go along to get along. They just survive. They get a good job. They do what they believe is expected of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not looking for. They're not like ambitious. They're not very like they're worker bees, right? They're the worker drones
average
kind
guy.
of things, right? Then there's the gammas. Gammas tend to be very analytical, and it's like, I can't understand why you wouldn't want to get with me because I'm the perfect guy. And let me
I've
tell
met
you, let me
gammas
give you
before.
this. Yeah, let me give you this.
What was the
Excel
gamma you met like?
spreadsheet.
Is there a case example you can
All
give
the
us real
time.
quick? What is that?
All the time. People who text me like, how much money do I have to pay you to meet up with you?
Unbelievable.
Or like,
Yeah, or,
Okay.
or they'll give you this detailed list of all of their great provider qualities and
They
why
don't
I am.
get why
I
she
am
doesn't like you.
I'm the one that
The nice
logically,
guy.
deductively, I'm the guy that you should be with. I can't understand why you're banging the alpha.
Tori,
Those
you
are
saying
like
that
the
these are the
incels,
nice guys? Why
basically.
nice
They're
guys
the
finish
ones-
More or
last?
less.
They're the ones that say, I'm a nice guy and she won't get with me, but
it's entitlement.
Nice guy finishes last.
I think I
Okay.
deserve
Well, you know,
it.
it's funny. Is in Vox Day's example here, when he's talking about gammas, he says when women they don't understand if they don't understand the socio-sexual hierarchies, they'll meet a gamma and they'll have this irresistible urge to punch the guy in the face.
it's called the ick.
Yes.
Even
What's
if
the
we
ick?
understand
Yes,
it, we still
there's
have
an
that
ick
urge.
factor?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's intuitive. It's
Okay,
it's
but he's
instinctual.
not even the lowest. Who's the lowest?
The Omega is kind of like, what's the guy on the what was the Office Space? Do you ever see Office Space?
Yeah, have you seen
the
my
guy,
stapler?
Yeah, the guy that's at the very bottom. Like
You seen my
yeah,
stapler?
Yeah, that's Omega.
Yeah,
That's
we're
what-
gonna need you to move again.
Yeah,
I don't.
Oh
that
god.
guy that's the Omega. That's the guy who doesn't get it and is never going to get it and is to the
man.
point where it's like almost like
Those are the people you got to fucking look
there
out
you go.
for.
Omega,
Because
right.
he's the guy that blew up the building.
Yes.
These are the school
Yes.
shooters.
Yes.
These are
careful.
these are the guys that get no action,
Mm-hmm.
and you stole my stapler, and then this is what happens.
Right. So they're very
Be
low.
careful for these omegas.
Very
The
low
nurturer in
low
me is
social
like, they need a
intelligence.
hug.
You're gonna give him a hug, and then he's gonna be like, "Why won't you go
Would
out
you
with
have
me?"
sex
Bro,
with him?
dude.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
But your instincts
My-
won't allow you to do that
That's
because you know
absolutely
if I
right.
do,
Yeah.
Okay, here's the question, ladies. Would you give it up to a guy like that if he was a billionaire?
No.
Not even. No, of course not.
Okay. If he needed a stapler, would you give him a stapler?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see my stapler. Well, thank you for that breakdown.
so
that's important to know.
So, and then people are going to say, well, what's a Sigma? Okay, so, Sigma male is like sort of the lone wolf. Like he wants to be outside of the whole hierarchy.
Yeah.
I'm of mixed reactions when it comes to that because
If
I
you
think
could.
it's just another archetype
I
of
just don't
alpha.
believe
Ladies,
it.
gentlemen, if you could, this
that
picture right here.
commercial.
Can you go back? This is great.
Yeah.
That guy is. If you could, I'd like to put a tangible case example to each of those things. If you can go back to that image, Tyler, and say, the alpha. Okay, Leonardo DiCaprio. Boom. All right, got it. Beta. If you could, he's gonna pull it up.
Well, the best-
Socio-sexual hierarchy.
The best example
Get
of
that
that.
image.
You
If you,
ever- Okay, Top Gun. Like
Okay.
Tom Cruise
Tom
is
Cruise.
the alpha of that movie.
Hell yeah.
His sidekick, the
Maverick.
guy Maverick, is the beta.
No, that
in
was Goose.
Goose was the
He-
beta.
he was
is the beta-
Maverick.
Yeah, is the beta.
Goose is the beta. He's the sidekick.
He's still getting
He's the
it.
Robin to
He's
the
still
Batman.
getting it, but he's definitely not the
So
alpha.
does every alpha need a beta sidekick, like a homie?
Not necessarily.
All right.
I
Like
just
a roll
think,
dog?
just
What do you think,
because
Brody?
just because you label something with specific terminology doesn't necessarily mean that it reflects reality.
Right. Which is why I
Like a
say
YouTuber,
alpha is an
created
abstraction.
this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
so
I
I'm
think our-
having fun with the conversation, but I also
Yes.
think every single alpha that I've met in my life, other than you guys, anybody. Sorry, not every single alpha.
Thank you, I'm
excuse
an
me.
alpha. No.
Let me say something a little bit more precise.
Yes.
Every single man that I've met who's called himself an alpha and made a point to say
Alphas
it out
don't call
loud
themselves alphas.
They don't.
has been the most triggered by an independent woman or by any kind of retaliation to that opinion. Like they cannot hold their own without getting emotional.
That's a gamma trying to get up into alpha class is what that is.
Ooh.
I
So-
just don't.
but-
believe-
but-
For
okay,
example,
here-
they might kick women off of their show
But I do
because they
agree.
can't contend with them.
well, wait.
I do agree
No
with
names have been
Can I-
named.
Hold on. Where do you think that that's them being emotional or trying to establish rules?
Two things. I think trying to establish rules that would insinuate that you're having a conversation with somebody who needs to be trained, which I disagree with.
Trained.
Secondly, I also think that on that show, there's more of not that show specifically, any show that we're talking about ambiguously.
Say
There's
my
an
name.
emphasis on. There's a huge emphasis on getting views, and what gets views is making a drama. So if, for example, somebody says that she believes that her husband or her man should cook as well, and you get so triggered by that you have to kick them off of your show, to me that is very telling about the kind of man that you are.
So you're saying that person is not an alpha, and in reality, it might be a gamma pretending
I don't
to
put
be an
labels
alpha?
on people like that. That's
Okay.
that's the only
Which,
thing.
by the way, I
Well,
was gonna,
I'm
I was
looking for
gonna agree-
labels here.
I'm
To
gonna
be
agree
honest with you, I
because-
want labels so I can understand this.
I know, and a lot of people do. They want the
Yes.
step by step. They want give me something identifiable.
Well, here's what,
that I can
and
sit
I
myself
appreciate
into.
your point. I do, and nobody likes to be labeled, and we don't like
Which is why-
generalizations. But
which
I
is
do
why
would
I
like to
always
see
talk.
who fits into these categories.
Which
That's
is
all
why,
I'm looking
which
for.
is why I always say I don't like. I mean,
I don't follow
I
this.
understand this, but when you
Yeah.
read my work and
Mm-hmm.
I say alpha or beta, I distill it down to those two. I don't
Got
use
it.
those.
not
It gets
like
complicated.
I
that.
understand it, and
Okay.
I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm just
Fair
saying
enough.
again, it's like how do you like? There's the alpha as a demographic, and then there's the alpha as like a mindset. So
Got it.
where does that fit into something like this? That's why I have like people say I'm a sigma. Well, no, you're not a sigma. You just want to be out. You think
An
you're like
outsider.
you think you're like Johnny Depp or something. You think you're outside of the system, and you're really not. You are in the system, and the very fact that you would call yourself a sigma or call yourself an alpha or call yourself a
Something.
whatever, that to me says
trying too hard.
that you're a king, a rich man doesn't have to tell you he's rich. You get you by his demeanor, by his how he speaks, what he's wearing, everything else. You can get that. A guy doesn't have to come in there and go, I'm really rich. Like when you're talking about, have you ever lied about your income or whatever? I've never been in the position where I've
Right.
had to do anything like that. But like if I walk into a room or you walk into a room, or like if you're dressed down, people don't know, like say a guy like George Gammon is like a multimillionaire because he just dresses in like, a jacket and a t-shirt and everything. So you don't really get that from him, but he doesn't go in there and say, hey guys, I'm Michael $1,000,000. He doesn't do that
That's
because
alpha.
it's his. Exactly. You don't. Alpha doesn't have to.
confident guy doesn't say,
have
"I'm
to-
confident."
He doesn't have to tell you
Makes
stuff.
sense.
Like you get it.
All right. Well, thank
just
you for
get it.
breaking this down. I think we all have a better understanding. And gentlemen out there, yeah, Tyler.
It's your education.
We got a super chat here and a question for Brody. Okay. So if you heard the term, it's two parts. If you heard the term alpha female and women to referring to themselves that way, and do you feel the same negative reaction about alpha female as you do about alpha male?
That's a really good question. I think that some women in the States, and this is something I've noticed because I'm foreign, even though I don't sound foreign, I've noticed that a lot of women here are so, they're so intent on being these strong, independent women, and they kind of ignore some of the things that could possibly make them very happy because of it. Some women are really predisposed to be better at being alpha females, and some women are not. But for me, I'm a very independent woman. I'm very strong, but I recognize that the things that I'm attracted to, or the way that I'm predispositioned to be, is very nurturing, loving, caring, and it's okay to recognize that. I think some women, how do you say la criche? Fuck, sorry. How do you say they push it away? What's
Push
the
it
word
away?
for that?
Resistant, averse.
They resist. Okay.
Yeah, they're averse to it, even though it's their natural inclination.
But
Well said.
Do you think that the alpha, like, does it give you the same, like, we hate the alpha beta thing like that, like, disgusts us. But when you hear alpha woman, is it like, go and get that bag?
No,
You don't think so?
no, I don't think so.
What do you mean go and get that back?
Like, go sis, like, killing it when you call a girl an alpha woman. Because the viewer was asking, like, do you feel the same way about it for, like, between genders? I think it is really different.
If a guy tells you he's an alpha male,
Yeah.
like you were just saying a second ago, like, oh, I've never met a guy who calls himself an alpha male actually be an alpha
Like,
male.
it's gross.
But when a female says, I'm an alpha female, does that give you that same, do you like go, oh, you're full
It
of
makes
shit?
me think that they're afraid of forming connections with the opposite sex. It makes, and I think it's the same with men, by the way, who say they're alpha males. I think that they enjoy the company of a woman physically, but I don't think they enjoy having conversations with them. I think it's the same with women who call themselves alpha females. We need each other. We have to recognize that we need each other. Some people might be better having the woman be the provider and the man be the nurturer. It doesn't matter, but the general population is not that way. And it's okay to recognize that and to lean into it.
I've never heard a woman call herself an alpha female. However,
I
will say I've heard countless women say, I'm a bad bitch. All my bad bitches. Where my bad bitches at? Is that the same thing of being a bad bitch and an alpha?
Damn money.
So,
I don't even know, man. I'm a bad bitch.
You could argue independent is alpha too.
See, and I know where that guy was going with this. I get this all the time because like women will say, "Oh, I would never get with the guy who calls himself an alpha male. Oh, he's using it unironically." That's why that's why I had to make the distinction. But okay, how about a high value male? How about Captain America versus Iron Man? Whatever. When I talk about those things, there are so many podcasts and so many shows saying, "Oh, the alpha male has been debunked, and here's why, and here's the studies and everything else." And those are the same people that if a woman comes in there and calls herself an alpha female, they're like, "Oh yes, of course, there's an alpha female. Yes,
Gotcha.
you go, girl." That's what it ends up being. So there can only ever be an alpha female, but there's no such thing as an alpha male. And I'm like, that to me says more about the mindset of the people who are describing all of this than it does about the actual definition or the actual abstraction that is alpha. So my point was this, is that there's no such thing as an alpha female. There is only alpha men. So the things and the qualities, the attributes, the characteristics that make a woman independent. She's got her own business. She's got her degree. She's got, and statistically speaking, more women are in college. More women are earning more money. From a numbers perspective, this is all backed up. But when women can't get the guy that they want to, like maybe they're nurturing, right? They want to embrace that feminine side, but they can't get to it because for the better part of their lives, they've been turned into the men that they want to marry. They are the alpha male with tits and vagina. That's what they are. And so they wonder, well, where's my guy? Where's the guy who wants to be my equal partner and go off into family land and have babies and everything? And they find that the guys that would be their equal or would be higher than them don't want to have anything to do with them because they're not feminine. Those guys are looking for women who are feminine women. And that's the number one problem that I deal with right now when I'm dealing with like when I'm counseling women. Is like, Rollo, I can't find the right guy. She's like in her 30s or whatever, and but I did everything right. I did everything society ever told me to do. I went to college. I got my degree. I've got my business going for me. I got to freeze my eggs because I can't find Mr. Right, and they're building themselves up into this alpha ideal, but that ideal is based on a male archetype. The real alpha female is the one. It's not Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook. It's Renee Summerfield. It's the swimsuit model. Okay, because that is the apex of femininity. That's the highest top of that pyramid that we're looking at for femininity. So if we're going to define alpha or beta in a masculine or a feminine term, if you are a bad bitch and you've got your shit together and you make your own damn money, you're basically a man. And generally, heterosexual men don't want to get with other men.
Boom, let's just pause right there for 1 second. You said that is the number one problem that you're facing. The people
when I'm counseling women.
Okay, so I don't want to skip over that. If that's just the number one thing that you're seeing, you're seeing a 30-something-year-old woman who is relatively successful and is educated, has not had kids yet, and she's the breadwinner in the family, or no family, but she's doing her thing. She's quote unquote a bad bitch, and she's wondering why she can't find a high quality man, high value man. That's the problem. Explain that exact thing for a second.
I did a show. I did a recent show about, maybe it was about 6 weeks ago. It had Steve Harvey was on there, and some chick in the audience stood up, and I think she was like 35 or 36 years old, and she was there with her mom. And she was explaining that she was, did everything the right way. She was 35, 36 years old. She stands up and she's, very religious. She's like, I'm, praying to the Lord for the right guy. But I did everything, Steve. I got my college degree. I've got my money is down. I think I'm a great person. I'd be a great catch. And of course, Steve Harvey just kind of fumbles through the whole thing. But I'm watching this, and the reason why I use this as a critique was she's representative of a certainly a demographic of women right now who are in the same boat. They don't understand why they can't find a guy who is up here when they've turned themselves into the man they want to marry as it is.
I believe that's exactly what Steve Harvey said, is that you are the man that you're looking for.
You are the man you want to get with.
Damn.
And that's really, and that's tough medicine.
So what's the ideal woman then?
Well, and so here's my point is the problem I run into is when I talk to these women, like I have hope for you. You're 23, the same age as my daughter, by the way.
Both these girls are young, attractive, and smart. So what's your advice for them?
She was just saying, it's okay. Don't be averse to the feminine, right? Yeah. When we're talking to a woman who's like 31, 32, 33 years old, and you tell her that, and for her entire life, she's like, I'm professional. I've done everything by the book. I've done everything society told me to do to be a bad bitch, to be an alpha female, to be a strong, independent woman. Registered trademark. And now I can't find the right guy. It must be men's fault because they're not living up to my expectations. And my only recourse is to say, well, you need to feminize yourself, right? You need to get in touch with your inner female or your inner feminine. Like we always tell guys, you need to get in touch with your feminine side or your emotions and everything. It's the opposite. I'm trying to tell somebody who is been masculinized to get in touch with their feminine side. And for me to do that, particularly as a guy, it sounds like I'm saying, dumb yourself down, be dumber. Because femininity seems dumb to that particular demographic of women, and that's hard to do. So they're resistant and they're averse to hearing what I have to say. Yeah, 30 plus so usually. You
She's ladies as being in your early 20s, how do you feel about that?
Women, just like you said in the beginning of this podcast, you said that part of the human condition is you need discontent. You have to be constantly passionate about something. Women are the same way. If that's education. And in most cases it is. There's a reason that a lot of women are taking over universities because we love getting educated. We love learning. We love this. But we've for some reason, feminism has gotten us to a place, and I still consider myself a feminist, but in America, it's gotten us to a place where it's like toxic feminism in the same way that there's toxic masculinity and men only want young women who are going to be quiet. Women don't want men who are going to be...
Wait, what's toxic masculinity?
The way that I would categorize the people that I was describing before, these like alpha males who describe themselves as alpha males.
Wait, so a definition would be an alpha male is like the macho.
Well, my definition for toxic, first of all, toxic masculinity is a term that I would only use in very, very specific situations. I think it's overused. But I also think toxic masculinity manifests itself in a lot of young American men who are pursuing women in the wrong way and then being frustrated by the results because they just don't understand that women are equal human beings to them.
Okay.
How are they approaching women in the wrong way?
I think people who listen to certain radio shows and what they're understanding is all I need to do is flash my money and work out and get a woman, and if she's talkative and she's arguing with me, like they put labels on women like argumentative or masculine or this and that, and I've been labeled all of those things, and I don't see myself as that. So I think that the reason that they see that is because they see women as competition. They're not comfortable enough with their own. I don't know if the word I'm looking for is masculinity, but like their own ability to be a good partner, that they just want a pet instead of an equal partner. Also, this entire conversation, we're also not really addressing the LGBTQ community, and that's where I say like feminine and masculine traits, which you can define that, nurturing feminine or whatever. Lesbian couples sometimes
it's not gender exclusive.
Exactly, that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
They know that.
Yeah, no. So I'm saying when we're talking about like alpha male and alpha female, I think that what we're talking about is relationship dynamics, and that somebody needs to be the provider and somebody needs to be the nurturer. That's the way it works.
That's why you always see it.
Sub. That's why.
Yeah, in lesbian couples, there's. I don't want to get canceled right now, but it's typically like the prettier feminine one, and then like the
power
butch,
dynamics
the
work.
butcher,
masculine and
short-haired
feminine
lesbian one.
Masculine and feminine will still. It's a human condition. It will still exemplify itself or manifest itself even in homosexual relationships. There's the butch. There's the butch dyke, and then there's the feminine sub dyke. Yeah, the lipstick one.
Lipstick
right?
lesbian.
And so one assumes the masculine role. Hell, there was what was it? I think it was Oprah Winfrey was doing a show way back about like sexual fluidity in women. And suddenly they go like from like being 39, 40, 41 years old, somewhere around there, and they suddenly discover that they're lesbians. And they can't find a dominant masculine man to be part of their lives. And so what they do is they look for a dominant masculine butch female to sort of fulfill that role.
Yeah.
And the reason why she was doing that show was because it was so common that she had to, they wanted to address that. And the problem that you run into is then, is she born that way, or is she just pushed into that position because of her circumstances and her situation?
What do you think the answer is?
That's the jury's still out on that.
Well, according to Lady Gaga, she was born that way.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you're going to ask me personally, I think that it's a behavioral response to conditions more than
after
anything
40
else.
years, you just realize.
Yes.
There's got to be some sort of sexual fluidity.
But
it
still
can't just be I'm straight and now I'm gay. It's,
Yeah, well, that's the thing is okay, well, if that's fine, then do I get to say, well, suddenly I'm gay and then I'm not gay today or whatever? Is it the subjective definition for whatever you feel, or is it a biological condition? Because up to this point, that's all we've been saying. I was born this way. My genetics, I can't help feel but the way I do. And I believe them, but I think it's behavioral, not necessarily a genetic thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, thank you for the question to the audience. Give him a shout out. Who was it?
I appreciate.
I got to go back and find it.
All right. Well, thank you for that. By the way, are we going to be able to take phone calls at the end of the Soscast? Is that Eric? Are you listening?
I'll go.
If he is, we might be able to taking phone calls. Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're taking phone calls at the end of the show. The end of the show, if you stick around, if you're subscribed, smash that like, do all the stuff that they tell you to do on YouTube. Smash, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we're going to take some phone calls at the end.
And you might be taking shots, man. We're 400 away from 2,000.
So if we get 2,000 live, we're going to take shots.
The number's on the screen now.
Tell your friends, tell your wives, tell your kids, tell your neighbors. We're going to take shots if we get to 2,000 people listening live. Maybe even Rollo.
Is that
Get
likes or is
us
that?
I don't know. Tyler, you
That's
weigh
likes
it.
or is that live
These
views?
are all
Live views,
analytics.
baby.
Okay.
Wait,
let's-
Tori, tell them to like the video.
Guys, like the video or your mom's a hoe. Or
I agree with Tori.
don't do it.
Let's do one more of these because we've and then we'll get into some other subject matters.
We get so sidetracked.
This is but this is great. This is great. Remember, we were playing the Never Have I Ever game.
Yeah.
When we get,
Is that where
maybe
we were?
we'll just do this throughout the whole episode. Never have I ever been truthful and revealed my body count to my partner.
This question confuses me. the
Have
way
you
that it's
ever
worded.
lied about how many people you have been with? No, I'm sorry. Have you told the truth in
You don't
actuality
tell them.
to how many people you've been with? You told them the truth. Okay.
I don't think I've ever been asked.
I just drank.
Have
What-
I
so-
ever told the truth?
Yes.
And I got to drink if I've ever
Yes.
told the truth.
Never revealed the number.
There it is.
Wait, Rollo Tomassi number
So,
4.
all right, you drank first and you drank quickly. Brody, what happened when you revealed your body count?
I hate that word.
I don't like it either, but
it's,
that's-
you use
Notch
it
count,
with
body
Sexual
count,
partner.
Hold on,
sexual
body
partners.
count you use when you count dead people. I'm just
That's
saying.
true. I will-
like it's horrible.
Tori, you're right. I'm wrong.
You see,
You're
body
attractive. I'm
Wait,
ugly.
I use it too.
Okay.
What?
Body count to me is the thrash band with Ice-T in it. That's
Fair
body
enough.
count to me.
Okay,
Anyway,
so it's a
sorry.
phrase that maybe is not exactly the most endearing.
Notch
However,
count.
you've told a guy how many partners you've been with.
Yeah, we're
What
all
happened?
human, so we all have these, needs and wants. And I've always been honest. Anytime the topic comes up, which I always kind of hope it doesn't, with one partner, an Israeli guy that I dated for a while, it turned into like a 2-week-long argument.
Oh God, what happened?
Why?
Because he just kept asking more and more questions. And
Was the
he
number
wanted more
high?
details.
That's why he wanted to know. Was it someone that you'd slept with? Did he want to know more about that specific one?
So
what are you willing to
It's
say?
like they don't
No
want
problem.
to know.
I don't love talking about body counts, but I think it was because I was in a time in my life where, and this is a little painful to talk about, but like a lot of women experience this where they're navigating sexuality and they end up having a bad experience and then they jump back into that world and they're not really taking care of themselves. And in some cases, I think it's even self-harm. So for me, like, I would say there was a time in my life where my body count was getting a little bit higher than I than I necessarily needed it to be. So he kept prying, and it just wasn't something I wanted to discuss, you know? So
When you said you weren't taking care of yourself, how do you mean?
I think
Physically, emotionally, mentally, what do you mean?
Well, I think when you share your body with another person, it takes a huge toll. Whether that's, I mean, a toll is usually negative, but like it has an effect on you, whether negative or positive. So I think a lot of women experiment with sexuality, and it becomes kind of like a self-soothing kind of thing, even though it harms them. Like, you know how people cut themselves because it feels good in the moment, even though it's harming themselves?
No.
So sex is like cutting yourself.
So I think sex,
She's saying it like
sex in the wrong
people
circumstances with the wrong people in the wrong headspace. Yeah, absolutely.
Tori, go ahead.
Not that I was just going to say, like, in excess, I think is what she's trying to say. People, like, sex addiction or whatever, but amongst women.
Yeah, it's to comfort yourself.
Are you always truthful with the guy you're with if he asks you?
I would hope that no man asks me. I
But
think
if
it's
a guy
horrible.
did, if a guy did, say how many boyfriends have you been? Like if he posed the question in a tactful manner.
No, you lie in that instance.
You would.
There's
you would lie.
no good number to give them. None. Am I
Gotcha.
right or am I wrong? Because what? You
'Cause
say
if the numbers,
one,
yeah,
they think you're lying. They always think you're lying.
They're going to think it's 5 times as much as you say.
Because a lot
What
of...
is sex? I've never heard of that before. That's my answer.
Well,
No
if you'd like to
hymen,
know.
no diamond.
No, what? Say,
actually
say
my
that. Hold
first.
on, I've never heard that. What was that?
No hymen, no diamond.
Explain that, Tori.
F and F gang, city boys, we up.
Oh my God.
What does that mean? F
I'm
and-
course
kidding.
that's from them.
No, it's actually
no
not
hymen,
from
no
them.
diamond.
It's something that they say overseas.
Virginity.
Virginity.
You're gonna give. You're not gonna give it up until you have a ring.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rollo, your thoughts on this body count disaster
Just
situation?
don't-
One of the
Reveal
one
it.
of the lesser known iron rules of Tomassi is never willingly reveal your body as a guy. Anyways, never willingly reveal your body count because it will be used against you at some point. For the most part, it's if a woman's asking you that, you're in a different kind of you're playing a different game than you're negotiating at that point rather than having this the chemical reaction I was saying before.
So it's not cool to reveal that to a
well,
girl.
no, but also you have to remember that it's it is an opportunity. So when somebody like when a woman asks you like how many girls have you been with, right? That's a shit test, is what that is.
Is
It
it?
is.
What do you mean?
It's a shit test. It's a test of are we playing the game, and do you know that we are playing the game? How many girls have you ever been with? And if you give an actual number, that's almost like the rich guy telling you he's rich, right? That's like I'm an alpha, so here's what I've been with, 100 girls.
What happens if
blah,
they
blah, blah.
ask you? Is it more than 10?
Well, no.
Is it more than 20?
See, I ask if I feel
Girls have asked that.
inadequate.
It's an opportunity.
You
and it's
ask if you feel inadequate?
Yeah,
Why would you ask if you feel inadequate?
Well,
Absolutely.
I have
What?
I
Inadequate how? Explain that,
like
Tori.
inexperienced. Like I want to know how many hoes I have to keep up with. You know
What does
I-
that even mean?
What do you mean? What does it mean? I'm like, if he's been with more than 20 women,
Yes.
there's no way that I will perform like better than them. There's more people to compare me to. It's more of an insecurity thing than it is anything else.
You're saying the more women a guy has been with,
yeah.
the more cars he's driven, the more experience he has, he's going to compare you to all
that.
the girls he's been
Yeah,
with.
'cause they ain't
and then
good.
say, I actually disagree with
yeah.
you.
It's
I actually
just one of
disagree
my
with you.
social anxiety.
No, but I'm going to help you
That's
out
where
here.
the question comes
I'm going to help
from.
you out here because no one's going to, it's all about the connection with the person. 100%. It's not about the actual sexual activity.
I got over that belief.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I've certainly asked it before, and if it was, well, actually, it really wasn't that long ago. That was probably why I ghosted a guy over it.
Because his
And
number was too high?
Yeah, it scared me.
Really? What happens
Yeah.
if a number is too low? Would that scare you off?
I only asked because this guy had a blue check mark, really well known, like high value man. I was like, a musician. I was like, he's probably slept with a lot of women.
Well, just so we're clear.
Enthusiastically.
What he wants you.
What do you consider a lot of women? More than 10? More
mean-
than 50? More than 100?
We just talked about
Yeah,
this yesterday.
yeah.
What
it
number
was-
is like...
I mean, it was like over, he was like, I don't know, maybe 100. So that's a high number to me. If you're going to say anything, like 20 is fine for me. I wouldn't be worried about that.
Okay.
I don't
Thoughts?
know.
Can I give your male audience, some advice?
Yes, please. This is why you're here.
If your girlfriend is asking you what your body count is, it's most likely that she just needs reassurance that you are into her and you like her body. So the answer you need to give her is, I don't even remember anyone before you. And that's it. You're welcome.
Boom. Love you.
You're
Thank
actually
you.
my first. I know there's
Way
a whole.
to
like I said,
go.
It's a shit test, and it's an easy one to pass too.
Yeah.
By the way, so you just go. You mean
We don't
tonight?
really care.
You mean women I've slept with tonight? You know, like you use it as a point of humor or
Well
something to sort
played.
of to reframe.
Well
Just need
played.
reassurance.
I love. It's a trap. I like that.
It's a
Thank
trap.
you.
It is a trap.
It's a trap. It's a shit test.
And I just gave you the secret to
say-
getting out of it.
Why would I even remember that number when I'm here
Yeah.
with you? Boom, and you're out.
Okay.
All right, segue.
Or you agree and amplify. You go, oh yeah, I don't know, 12,000 something like. You know, you just agree
There's
with it and
people
you
on
just
YouTube
exaggerate
that
it.
does that do that. 1,400 lays.
Yeah, the fat kid in Brazil.
That embarrassing.
It's aggressive.
Embarrassing.
Okay, let's get to the next topic here. Rollo, you touched on this earlier. I want to get a very clear answer from you, and that is regarding this red pill, blue pill
Sure.
dynamic. I know we've got a picture of that. So, a lot of people are talking about these days. I actually did an interview with my guy Hafiz from the Roommates. He was basically saying that the red pill has no objective definition, and everyone kind of defines it differently. So let's settle this once and for all. What does it mean to be red pill? What does it mean to be blue pill?
Okay, so first and foremost, these are, again, abstract terms, okay? The red pill as a sort of a terminology was created or was like, it got bounced around back in the day in the old seduction communities and the seduction forums. And we didn't even really call it red pill at that time. We said unplugging from the matrix, right? Because I believed all of these things about like women. I've been playing by the rules. I've been playing by the old set of, rule book, and I've got nothing but I'm single and sexless, and it doesn't work for me kind of thing. And I believed all this stuff. And then when men understand their own nature and they understand women's nature and they understand intersexual dynamics between the two of them, then they sort of pull themselves out of this matrix and they start putting themselves into, came out of the gaming community, meaning like pickup artists and stuff of the early 2000s, which evolved into what we call the Manosphere and what we call the red pill right now. The red pill is a praxeology. It is not an ideology. I got to make that clear
What does that
right
mean,
now. Okay, so praxeology is the study of like human behavior with the knowledge that that behavior has a purpose or an intent to it. Okay, and there's, by the way, I'm lifting that term from from socioeconomic terms. That's not even like just some red pill thing we pulled out of our asses here. Okay. So the red pill to me anyways is from like say about 2004 is when we started using the term red pill. And red pill was, I used to think about women and dating and intersexual dynamics and love and this and everything in one way. And now that I've learned game, now that I've learned intersexual dynamics, I think about things in a different way. And so what happened along the way since that time, I went back and I looked at my forum posts from as far back as like 2002 or 2005. I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? Almost 20 years now. And I look back at that and I go, that's the first instance of me using the term red pill way back in 2004. And now what's happened is it gets bastardized because everyone wants to, because it's a popular term online, on the internet. People want to use it for their political ideologies, their personal ideologies, their religion, whatever it is. That is, I used to think stupid false stuff and now I think the right stuff, right? So the truth is whatever the red pill is for your pet ideology. And that's why I have to say that the red pill, as far as intersexual dynamics and the way that it was originally intended, it's a praxeology in that we're going to go out into the field, we're going to take notes, we're like Jane Goodall or Diane Fossey, Gorillas in the Mist, looking at study the humans, right? And so we come back, we create hypotheses from that, we test those in the field through game or whatever, like red pill and red pill awareness is the theory, game ends up being the practice of it, and each one is incomplete without the other because one informs the other. That's really what the red pill was about. So when people say, well, what's the red pill to you? Well, it's intersexual dynamics. It's not politics because we kept hearing this all the time. Like when Trump was running for office, by the way, Candace Owens, her old Twitter handle used to be red pill black. Okay, because it was a popular term.
She politically
in politics.
hijacks that.
It was yeah, and so then you've got that. So what's an MRA, men's rights activist? What's a MGTOW, men going their own way? What's the black pill? What's the white pill? What's the purple pill? What's this pill? What's your mom pill?
A lot of pills out
yeah,
there.
exactly.
Popping pills.
And so I always come back to
Stay drug free, kids.
Come back to the red pill, because what happens is right now it gets cast as this ideology. Oh, those red pill guys believe this. It's not a belief set. It is a set of it's a database. It's a knowledge base. It's like the Chilton Manual for intersexual dynamics and understanding women's nature and understanding men's nature. So when people ask me like, what's the red pill? I can't give you an elevator pitch for it. I can't do it in like 3 minutes. Because there's so much that's attached to it.
Gotcha.
It's about sex. It's about politics. It's about personal relationships. It's about families. It's about raising kids. It's about, you think of all the things that are attached to sexual dynamics in the micro level all the way up to the macro level. That's the red pill. All of that is the red pill. And people lock in on something that conflicts with their personal convictions and ideology. And they go, well, the only way I can explain that to myself is to turn that into an ideology. And therefore now I can actually deal with it. And I can come up with some sort of counter to that, rather than looking at the numbers and the data and everything else that comes, which sometimes it's depressing. Sometimes it's hard to accept that stuff. But you have to remember that once you get into that and you understand the numbers and the stats, that it's not as depressing as you think it is. It's just you don't have the creativity, you don't understand how to leverage it to your best advantage. It comes later on, but when people first become aware of the red pill, or they become aware of intersexual dynamics of their own and women's, it can be a tough pill to swallow.
I agree. That was well said. So what is the blue pill?
The blue pill is your old order way of thinking, really. It's stay in what has been the old rule set, the 20th century way of thinking about, like, say, dating, for example. That's a really good illustration there. I'm constantly dealing with conflicts of people who are idealizing, say, marriage or dating or whatever, and their ideal is cast in a 20th century old order understanding of what that is. That's blue pill. We live in the 21st century where the rules have changed. And if you don't know the rule set, and you're gonna be like, well, we were playing by this rule set. I thought, the 20th century and the blue pill rule set, and you guys are playing an entirely different game, and I can't win because I don't know anything about this rule set, the new order way of thinking about things. That's the 21st century way of doing it. So when I listen to, say, like Hafiz or these other people talking about marriage and everything, all their understanding of marriage is based on a 20th century ideal, not on a post-marriage 21st century ideal.
So if someone's
I'm
going
happy
to
to hear you say that. Sorry.
What makes you happy to say that? If someone's going to get married now, what do they need to know? Is there something you wanted to chime in about?
Yeah, but I didn't mean to interrupt you, so I'm
No, go
sorry.
ahead. That's fine.
But I got into it with Hafiz on the Fresh and Fit podcast because I said that I think independence is a very attractive quality in a woman. That conversation got really heated. He ended up accusing me of being a masculine woman. And he said that if I'm not willing on being utterly dependent, his words, utterly dependent on my man, I'm never going to be happy in a relationship. And then that, to me, I was seeing a person who I thought makes great arguments, preaches in a way that's really believable and really convincing, and yet it's things that I completely disagree with. So I'm happy to hear you say that they have some sort of perception that isn't really matching the reality. Because I don't think that he has the recipe for a healthy relationship at all.
Well, we have an old order ideals that we think we can solve those old order problems with new order solutions. And the problem is, and I'm going to borrow a term from my friend Aaron Clary. He says, we live in a post-marriage society. In industrialized nations, we are in a post-marriage society, because if you look at, like, the rise of poly, if you look at the statistics we have the lowest marriage rate in history right now. It's like 6.1 per 1,000 people. The lowest since it was, like, they started taking the stats from back in, like, the 1800s or something like that.
So what's the solution to all this?
Well, that's why we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah.
But you should listen to, like, people like Jordan Peterson. Or people like,
we just had him on here.
Or like Ben Shapiro. You should not be listening to people who might not have the best interest of women and men at heart.
Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro are stuck in the
the-
20th
yeah.
century when it comes to marriage.
Old order.
They're stuck in it because they think
Jordan
that they can.
Peterson is stuck.
He's stuck in the provider side of hypergamy is what he's stuck in right
So you're
now.
saying Jordan Peterson is wrong?
I don't.
so is Ben Shapiro.
No,
Honestly, I'm
I think he's
also stuck in that.
incomplete.
I think.
Incomplete.
Incomplete.
How so?
Well, because he doesn't look at, like, Jordan Peterson has only ever really been with his wife. If you know anything
Yeah,
about his
like, it's
history
his
and his
personal.
dating history and everything else, he's only ever been with her. And he has a very kind of, I hate to say it this way, but he's got a very Pollyanna kind of naivete when it comes to how men and women come together and form families in the 21st century, because he's still, and Ben Shapiro, I would say the same thing about, by the way. He's still stuck in this 20th century ideal about here's how we should get along and here's how men and women should get together. And the fact of the matter is that the number one way for men and women to meet today is right here, is this right here, and has been that way since 2000. It's not meeting through church. It's not meeting through school. It's not meeting through work. It's not meeting through friends. It's meeting on this device right here. This is the 21st century, not the 20th century marriage. Do we want to have marriages? Do we want to be monogamous? I do. I'll agree with you here. We're better together than we are apart. Men and women are innate, evolved complements to one another, but we live in a society that separates us completely because women have no need for the average man. They have no need for men, and men right now are finding more and more that they have no need for women at all. So with those as if that's the reality, and you're still stuck saying, well, the best thing you could do is get married, even though contractually speaking, it's an unconscionable contract. And we have come to a point in marriage right now where men don't want to get married and women don't want to marry guys as it is anyways, because they're never going to measure up to their metrics at this point. So what do we do? Like, what's the solution to that, right? So either guys are just going to sort of, you stay on your side of the playground and she stays on that side of the playground. The only time you come together is when you want to have sex and have a baby, and then she takes the baby and goes off on her side and you go back to your side. And that's untenable for Western societies right now, because the foundation of this country and really Western societies in general has been committed, socially enforced monogamy, whether that's through marriage or whatever else. And we're trying to redefine. We don't know where we're going with it right now. I don't, like you say, well, what's the solution? I don't know, but we're on the way to finding out what that's going to be.
Well,
What the repercussions are going to be.
Well, let's ask the ladies quickly. What's your ideal marital situation, or everything we're talking about?
Do you want to
here?
get married?
Yeah, what's ideally?
So I grew up in Israel, and over there, I guess the 20th century is the norm. Everybody gets married in their early 20s. That's just how it is. And my parents have a gorgeous marriage and with traditional gender roles. I would like at some point to meet a partner who can be that for me. But I'm not at all ready to do that anytime soon.
Tori?
And that's the problem, because you're 23, right? This is when you're supposed to make a bet. That's how it would fix things. But nobody, I'm 27. When I was 23, I was in no way ready to say that's the guy and make the bet on the guy. I'm using you as an example.
Go right
sorry.
ahead.
Okay, don't think that I'm
Use
like
me all you
being
like.
rude. But okay. But like, you want to be independent. One way that this whole thing could be fixed was if women were dependent on men, but we took that away. So women, there's, what is it, 60% are in college?
60-40.
60-40. So 60% of women are getting college educated. Women will divorce a man if they don't make, you have to make the same,
58% more makes you
58%.
economically attractive.
Yeah, so women are like, I want a guy that makes the same as me or more, which
Well, that would
the
incentivize
same-
me to make more, because
Well-
then he would make more.
Well, hold on. So in order to be the same, they have to make 58% more. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense.
So if a woman is making $100,000, a guy needs to make $158,000
Exactly.
a year in
I
order
think-
to appease the woman.
or else
to
she
be
divorced.
economically attractive.
Yeah, she will. There's some. Wait,
Well,
what's
75% of women are the ones that initiate divorce.
It's
Is that the
higher
number?
than that. It's
more than
It's
that.
like about 80%.
I always
and it comes
I
down
peg
to
it. It depends on
financial.
whose numbers you're looking at. It can be anywhere between 70 and 80.
I see 79 really commonly. But
Okay, so, but back to
my
the question,
point
yeah.
is, like, if women are divorcing men at a 79% rate, whatever, and the reason is financial, and there's a direct correlation between women divorcing men when they out-earn them, women have to be dependent on men in order for a marriage to actually work. She wants to be
Here's where I
independent.
disagree completely.
Well, this is stats.
It's not that one has to be dependent on the other. It's that one has to accept the role of the nurturer, and then the person who nests, and the person who and then the other person has to be the one who provides. I don't agree with this notion that women
that
need to be dependent
contradicts
on men.
itself, though.
Would you be okay with a guy who makes less money than you, wants to be a house husband, and wants to be the nurturer who sits at home while you're going off to work?
I have an answer for you. I recognize this biological attraction that I have to men who are providers, but that does not at all mean that I'm going to put myself in a vulnerable position. It means that I'm going to be attracted to a guy who's going to spoil me. You know, whether it's with money or with whatever, attention.
Time,
or,
affection, yeah.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
D.
But I'm not, you know, that's the stereotype, and there's a reason there's a stereotype, but I don't represent everybody, especially not LGBTQ couples or whatever. Like, it's just, this is how a relationship works. One needs to be the nurturer, one needs to be the provider, period. It's not that women need to depend on men, and I think this is what, like, the Manosphere is trying to tell women is, like, stop being educated, stop making money, and that's not it. I'm not fully cooked yet. I'm not ready to stop, and also, how am I ever going to get to a point in life where I'm meeting the kind of people that I want to be with for the rest of my life if I don't put myself there?
Well, most men aren't there, though. That's the problem.
I don't want those men, though.
You just said you did, though. I
didn't. What did I say? What?
You said,
what do you
I
mean?
want to be around men that I'm attracted to, like the guys that you feel drawn to. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be anywhere near your area, like schooling, where you're making more.
I'm not talking about schooling. I'm talking about if I can't have a conversation about politics and I want a politician.
Okay.
If I'm not in those circles where people are discussing those things.
So like education, you would find a guy that is into politics.
If that's what I wanted.
So, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
What? Hold on. You guys are not agreeing right here. I'd like to get to the heart of the matter here. What's the problem?
I'm going to take a step back because I feel like I'm triggering. And so there's no good discourse that comes from emotion. So I'll let it move with
I didn't
more.
think I was reacting with emotion. If that's how you feel, I would.
Okay.
I don't.
Let's
So I
look
will
at the
just say,
numbers.
I want to say right now, I'm more than happy to continue having this conversation. I'm definitely not triggered. If you want to stop, that's totally fine.
Let me throw out some numbers at you here. When a couple gets together and they're both making the same, or maybe the guy's making a little bit more, and that woman gets a promotion at work, that precipitates divorce. Like I want to say it's like 83 or 86% of the time. So if a woman gets a boost in status and a boost in wealth, that precipitates divorce.
Really?
And so that's that.
Why is that?
Well, because she's again, women don't want men who are their equal. They want a guy that they can look up to. You cannot admire and look up to a man who is your
That's
equal.
why girls, when I say, you know, do you care if a guy is rich or whatever? Rich. I ask girls all the time, would you rather have a rich guy or a hot guy? And you know,
we asked Victoria Larson that
exactly. I'll take the hot guy, rich guy. A lot of the common times they say, well, I'll take the hot guy, but I want him to have initiative and drive. Even if he's not making money yet, I want the person who's who like is a go-getter. He's
If he won the lottery, it's not going to boost him, you know.
Exactly. Fair enough.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah,
found
they
wealth.
usually
That's not
lose
earned
it,
wealth.
too.
That's
Ambitious.
That's
Ambitious.
not when you win the lottery. You didn't earn the lottery, and so women are attracted to really what's called creative intelligence. Meaning, like, I know how I made $1 million, I lost it, and I made it back again. That's more attractive than I won the lottery, I got $1 million.
Absolutely.
Right?
So when I say this thing where you were like we can switch gender roles and stuff. My point is the stats show that causes divorce. And I'm all about the babies, and they show studies that prove that two-parent household, it's better.
I completely agree with you. I think that it's important that I address something that maybe didn't come across, which is I want to recognize that like the majority of society goes by these traditional gender roles. So there's a reason that it's, 80%.
Majority
Yeah, vast majority.
goes by the gender roles.
Yes, is biologically preconditioned to be attracted to a partner who has certain.
So
gender roles.
biologically, or like gender roles, like based on society, whatever society expects of you, because there's two different things.
Well, if you go back, 10,000 years, the women were gathering and making a nest, and the men were hunting, and the women would be attracted to the man.
Women
who
were
they-
working too, though. actually.
Of course, it's just a different type of work.
No, like they were working, like making tools.
Listen, I'm from Israel. I served in the military. In Israel, it's mandatory for men and women, and I still feel that women can be strong, they can be independent,
Of
they can be
course.
whatever, and they still can be feminine.
Yeah.
There's a power to femininity. So to bring back to my point before, I do think that the majority of us have some sort of connection to that,
So you're saying like biological, like something
Predisposition?
from
Innate.
back innate.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's in our biology to
Okay.
be that way, and that's okay. Like we need to.
Well,
we can't fight it.
can I get a bottom line answer from you? Would you rather be the stay-at-home wife, the stay-at-home mom, take care of the kids, and your man does all the work, or would you rather be the independent woman and your man does kind of the female role?
I'm really passionate about certain things. Like if you guys go on my TikTok, you'll see that one of my missions in life is to try and change the narratives about Israel and Palestine. So I would never be willing on giving that up, but that doesn't make me any money. And I'm not interested in having it make any money.
But what does that have to do with your family?
So I'm saying I'm not a person who needs to be the provider. What I need is to be able to work on projects and be passionate about something.
You want to take care of the kids, but also have a purpose.
Yeah, definitely.
Fair enough.
I wanna
Tori,
buy the house.
are you okay with being the more maternal mother, take care of the kids, and that your man does the more the provider? You're good with that.
Yeah.
Do you think most women are good with that?
No, I don't.
And that's the problem that I
That's
think
the
Rollo
difference.
is
It's not
distinguishing.
necessarily that it's a problem. It's just that we don't know how to operate in a world. Like he was saying, like old order thinking, like there's nothing in history that shows us that what we're doing right now is working. Like if you go back to Greek times,
Yeah.
here we go, where the men were really robust and really sculpted out, right? Like this is
You're not talking about the Greeks who were having sex with each other, the
No,
guys
not
in the
those two.
bathhouses. You're talking about the manly
Yeah,
guys.
one of
Okay.
them was the nurturer.
Well, so listen, like, so there was proof that when our society started to lose gender or that they would become more like noodles. That's like a quote from Camila Paglia. And she's saying you can see it in the artwork. So you would see these sculptures and then you would see the guys that are just like this, like they were becoming more feminine, and that's when the society collapsed.
Ooh,
So that's why
that's an
what
important
we're
point right there.
that's why what we're doing right now, we're repeating history, but people don't see it like that because we're used to, or we think about it and we're like, oh, technology, we see it through social media. We're not looking at artwork. They don't even have certain art history courses in universities. It's like they're trying to get rid of it.
That's a really great point.
The conflict right here is between innate evolved gender roles, like you were saying, hunter-gatherer tribes, back on the sub-Saharan African savannah, right? Hunter-gathering men. There was division of labor, right? That men would go out and hunt. That's what made them sexy. That's why they were built for combat. That's why we go out and run down the gazelle or the woolly mammoth or whatever. And women are back there because women are the vulnerable sex, and men are the disposable sex, meaning that we're going to die more in more greater attrition rate for men is going to be a lot more than there is for women. We can look at this and we can see the proof of this in genomic records right now. So if you go back 8,000 years, you'll find that one man for every 17 women reproduced.
Yeah.
Okay, we know this is a fact.
Genghis Khan,
Genghis
baby.
Khan,
Genghis Khan was just banging them all.
Old Uncle Genghis. By the way, one in every. You can go look this up too. One. We did this just yesterday.
I know.
One in every 200 men on planet Earth is a direct genetic descendant of Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan was just doing his thing.
Yes.
All right, Tyler, before you pull up Genghis Khan, we'll go down the whole history path.
But what this is a conflict between this evolved innate human nature versus the idea that we're blank slates and that everything is a social construct. So when we talk about gender, I was saying before, is homosexuality biological or is it a social construct? Because right now we have, according to the woke mob, we have 78. What are we up to now for genders right now? 62, something like that?
176.
Gender identity and sexual orientation.
That's what
two
they.
totally
But see,
separate
that's
things.
what they.
That's exactly
they
what he
want.
was
That's
just
that's
saying.
exactly what I'm saying here. Is that the idea that there's even that division, that there can't be anything that's fundamentally, biologically, characteristically masculine and feminine. That's the problem that we're having. when Matt Walsh went on Dr. Phil not too long ago, and he was there with the bearded lady, the one who was the transgender men who wanted to be women there.
Oh, I love
And he was
that.
having this conversation with them, and he asked one simple question: what is a
define
woman?
yeah.
Define a woman, and they would not define it because they're stuck in the idea of social constructionism. Everything's relative, everything's subjective. It's like whatever I feel like being today is what it is. The problem with that is that when it's a life or death situation and men have to be men and women have to be women, that's when this flies out the window. We're seeing that in transgender sports right now.
Yeah.
So when guys go into the female division of those sports, like Zuby, for example, holds the
My
world's
guy
record.
Zuby for the
holds
power
the
lift.
world's record for power
All right, well, here,
lifting,
let's. I just got noted. Thank you for that, everyone. I just got word that we're at 2,000 listening
There we go.
live.
Oh, we got a drink.
So
All
we're going to
right.
have to take a shot in honor of
Kiss
our
the Blarney
viewing
Stone.
audience.
To 175 genders.
Here we go. To 175 genders. And tell your friends, tell your people to join us. Okay.
Don't forget to take calls.
Yeah.
We're going to take calls at the end.
So let me just finish with just really quickly here.
Yep.
The reason why that this was such a controversial thing and why even Matt Walsh is still riding this right now is because if the bearded lady had said, okay, this is what a woman is, that's when it loses the argument, because now we can have an objective definition of what a woman is, and you ain't it.
Damn.
That's that,
Bearded
because
lady.
once you give them objective reality, the whole conversation changes.
All right, we got a hard out at 6. Here we go. I want to get this story in because this has been in the news for the last few weeks, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, okay? Everyone knows who Gary V is, Gary Vaynerchuk, yeah? He's probably the biggest influencer out there, business influencer. Well, apparently he's getting divorced. Okay.
Is he or did he?
You're going to take a look
It's
at these
on.
pictures
I
and you're
thought
going to be
he
you're going to be, yeah, I mean, they use the word allegedly, but when you start posting pictures of your new girlfriend,
They
it's pretty
took
much
him.
over.
Bravo, Gary.
How old is
So-
he again? Is he? How old is he?
Tyler, how old is Gary? I'm willing to bet that he's in his late 40s. That's my guess.
Mid-late
47, 46?
I'd say 48. I'm guessing. 46. Okay.
46. Okay.
He's 46, but he looks like he's 48. Here we go. So Gary is worth between 160 and 200 million, which may or may not be cut in half in the coming months, right?
That's how we get rich. Sorry.
Oh, there it was, ladies and gentlemen. People want to know.
The richest women in the world are byproduct of divorce.
Thank you.
Or inheritance.
People want to say, Adam, this is a financial show. Why do you always want to talk about relationships and
It all
dating and
goes
lifestyle?
together.
It all goes together. Thank you, Tori.
You were saying. Sorry.
So basically, he's been famously very private with his wife. He never posts pictures of his wife, ever. Never posts pictures of his kids, ever. Next thing you know, boom. This is the pictures that he's dropping. Tyler, can we put this into the...
Damn.
So he's with this new girl
he
called...
took him down, though, I believe.
So he's married his wife, Lizzie, in 2004.
Too late.
They have 2 kids together. Is Lizzie getting half? Now, this is his new lady friend, girlfriend, Mona Vand. So, ladies and gentlemen, thoughts on Gary V, thoughts on what's happening here, and then I'll open it up for discussion.
Oh, I'm going to let the ladies go first on this,
I
because this is
think-
going to be...
Do you want to go
I
first?
think Gary V is literally the representation of this microwave society, of this hustle culture. Be positive, just fucking work, just do it, and all this shit. So she's beautiful. Looking at her, like, it's fine. But Gary V just fake, really fake.
Fake.
Yeah.
Really? Why fake?
Just because it's this. If you really watch his content, he contradicts himself every time. That's what I took from it, but it's this constant hustle. And I'm like, do you even see your kids? Just curious.
Well, he might only see them half the time now. Do you have
That's if
thoughts
he's
on Gary?
lucky.
That's if he's lucky. Ooh.
I don't think there's any proof to show that he spent time with those kids.
Ooh, damn. Well, there's no pictures online.
Let me ask Brody.
Brody?
If he's not Gary V, if he's not worth what, 168 on 200 million,
160 to 200
does he
million.
get with that girl? With that
I
girl,
don't
that
think
choice?
so. And I also
She's
think
beautiful.
I think it's really sad to see this because it kind of reflects a fear that a lot of women have is that once we have your babies,
That's
Yeah,
where I'm
there
going.
it
That's
is.
in
where
our
I'm
body
going
for
with
you,
this.
we do
Thank
everything for you, and then you just kind of leave us for a younger woman.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Is
how
that
are
a
you
woman's
supposed to-
biggest fear?
Yeah.
Is that
Well, I
he
would
married
say
her in
I would-
2004
Absolutely.
when he was jack shit. He was basically selling wine in a cellar.
A shit
And he
test
starts
is
doing
that.
stuff online.
I got
now
some
he's
good
worth a
stuff.
couple
I wanted
hundred
you guys
million.
to get it out.
And
Yep.
now he's dating this
Yeah,
younger,
and then I
hotter
mean,
chick.
on the bright side,
Yep.
his ex-wife now has $80 million. So I mean, I would take it.
We'll see.
You go date whoever you want. If you
She
go
can
ahead.
go do wine
But I think
parties
it's
with Mackenzie
upsetting.
Bezos.
Wow.
Watching
well, Mackenzie's
men-
the richest woman in the world because of Jeff Bezos.
Watching famous, rich alpha men never post pictures of their kids, never talk about their families, and then post this. Are you kidding me?
I don't mind if there's no kids on the social media. That bothers me. It freaks me out when people put their kids on
Do you
social
post pictures
media.
of your the past boyfriends? Have you ever posted pictures of your past boyfriends
Only
on Instagram?
only of my first boyfriend.
But no,
who I
none of
dated
the
for
guys
2
you're
years.
involved with now.
But I'll explain why. Let me explain why. It actually doesn't have to do a lot with. I don't know what I actually don't know where you're going with this, but I'll tell you where it comes from. My family's very religious. It's really awkward for me to be open about my dating life and my sex life with
Do you
my
put-
family.
do you
because
put-
of that.
Orthodox?
That makes sense.
Modern Orthodox.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a modern.
So all of my siblings, by the way, got married without
Everybody
touching
is
their
rushing
partner.
to your Instagram right now. You
Yeah.
realize that, right?
They've never touched their partner before they got married. Their first kiss, in some cases, was on their wedding day. They met through a matchmaker, and they all have relatively healthy marriages, like really beautiful, healthy marriages. So do my parents.
Yeah.
And like, there's something to be said about that.
Well, let me ask you guys a question then. Because Gary here, obviously he's with this girl now. He's never posted a picture of his wife, not a once.
Interesting.
Not a once.
Interesting.
He's the biggest social media guy out there, and he has never posted a picture of his wife. I don't even know if he had kids. I had to Google it.
Mm-hmm.
And now, boom, he's single. Here's this chick. Oh, and there's more pictures, by the way. One at a Super Bowl, having a great time, on vacation.
Would you two say that that's a trophy wife?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Tori?
I've seen him actually talk really well about his wife in a lot of interviews.
Well,
so.
let's see what happens now.
All right, so here's
But-
why this rubs women the wrong way.
Please explain,
Okay,
Rollo.
so I'm going to quote Rich Cooper right now. Rich has this one saying. It says, "Women don't care about men's struggles. They wait at the finish line and they fuck the winners." That's what it basically boils down to. Now, I half agree with that because when you're 23 years old and you're looking for, you can't find the winner at 23 years old, or maybe you don't actually want the winner at 23 years old because you're exploring your options and doing everything that Western culture tells you what to do. You're looking for a man who has potential, looking for a guy who has a potential winner because they
Ambition.
can't really, because the guys who are winners are very few and far between. And they're usually a lot older than you because it takes longer for a man to mature into the success that he has over the course of
This is why you say
however
women
long.
are and men must become.
Okay, so what happens here is and this Gary is the epitome of the worst of women's fears, who had to make a bet on a guy who didn't have jack shit and had a wine company back in the day.
5'6",
But
nebbishy
I
little
guar-
dude.
I
She
guarantee
took a chance
you,
on him.
I guarantee you, Gary's wife took
Yeah.
a chance on him and said, "This guy's got a potential. He's got ambition.
something
He's got
about this
passion.
guy."
He's not a winner yet. He's
Yeah.
not crossed the finish line like Rich was saying. But I think he could be a winner by the time he's in his mid 40s. And lo and behold, he did become a winner.
Yep.
The worst,
Definitely a winner.
So what happens is when women have to make a bet on that man's potential, it's usually when they're 23 or they're younger,
yeah.
and they're trading their sexuality, their sexual agency, and putting that as the bet on the table that this horse is going to make it across the finish line. And so what happens is when that guy actually does become the winner, there's an investment of resources. In this way, it's women's sexual agency, my beauty, my beauty, whatever, my fertility, I'll give you kids, blah, blah, blah. I have all of this investment in this guy. And now you're getting with that. Now you're getting with the hot chick because you couldn't get with her when you
Before.
met me.
It's disrespectful
But most
to the
men
mother of your
don't do
children.
that. I'll say that.
like
Most
phone calls.
guys that know that you make the bet or whatever, if a girl makes a bet on the guy, most guys will not leave and go for the younger girl.
And that's why
Just
we have-
saying.
You're saying most guys won't do
Most
that?
will not.
They'd rather be in an unhappy marriage if they're unhappy.
Who knows if it's unhappy? I'm just saying, if she said, "Here's my agency, my sexual agency at 22, whatever," the guy will respect it and not do what he did. He's just like
That's
the
why
odd one out.
that's why I asked you if you thought she was a trophy wife, because
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
worst fear, because that trophy wife represents the loss of investment of all that stuff that built up to
Although
that.
she made $80 million.
That's
We
why
don't-
this
divorce
hasn't
laws
happened.
are what they
This
are.
hasn't happened yet.
And now
So
you know why
the-
divorce is what it
Does
is.
this story make you like Gary more or like him less?
I don't know that much about him, but I definitely don't like him. I can admit that some people get bored sexually in a marriage. Maybe maybe that's why they got divorced. I don't care. I don't know. I'm just saying this reflects women's distrust of men.
Sounds like you
fear.
like him. How about you, Tori? Like him more or like him less after this?
I never really was a big fan of him, but no, I'm used to seeing this kind of thing. So no, not really.
Rollo, thoughts?
I'm not surprised.
Well, let's just say this. At least he's not Jeff Bezos, because Jeff
Yeah.
Bezos traded Mackenzie Bezos for Lauren Dirty Sanchez. 49-year-old
Yes.
Lauren Dirty Sanchez,
predatory
who
woman.
is hot for Leonardo DiCaprio
Yeah.
apparently as well. So
She's beautiful.
Well, here's my beef with here, Gary. Like,
she's a career predator woman.
Yeah, so-
He's not the first one.
Yes, that's
he's
true.
not the first.
here's my
I
beef with
wonder-
Gary. It just seems so disrespectful. You've never posted a picture of your wife ever. And now you're in the puppy dogs and kitten phase of your relationship,
Gary's
and
very
you're
blue
posting
pill.
this relationship
He's very blue pill.
with this girl. I just find it so
He's a
disingenuous. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Gary,
It's
you know,
embarrassing.
there's a lot of people that love you, but this is a dirty move.
Gary's not used to this.
He's-
Gary is not used to
yeah,
a hot piece of
literally.
ass like that having anything to do with, like, his
That's true.
experience with women over the.
Yes.
Remember you asked me about like Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
The reason why I have sort of a lesser opinion of him is because
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't have the experience with women to speak
Exactly.
knowledgeably about it. I would never take advice about women from Gary Vee. Sorry.
It smells like
Sorry.
a midlife crisis.
I would
to me.
never take advice.
Because
Wait.
he would because his experience with women is limited to his wife from
Yeah.
that point
Exactly.
on. And then he's probably never enjoyed the attentions and affections and everything of a woman that choice.
Fair enough. Well, this leads me to my next story. He's gone Instagram
We got to
official.
take phones too. So
He's gone Instagram official with his girl, and then we'll get to the phone calls. We have phone calls that are coming in.
You got anything lined?
He's gone Instagram official with his girl. My contention is a girl will sleep with you way quicker than she would post you on her Instagram. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, sorry. No, I meant, yes, I agree.
So you're more likely to sleep with a guy first.
Yes, because men are embarrassing. Peace and love. Most men are embarrassing to present to the world.
Okay, there's a higher likelihood you would sleep with a guy.
They're a liability.
Then post them on your Instagram. Okay,
Yeah.
do you agree?
I don't really. What's Instagram official? You put like the ring emoji in the
it's
bio?
just
That's
a
weird.
boyfriend in a
just
picture
like a
on
boyfriend in a
Instagram.
picture online.
It's been a while.
Since you've had a boy, like I've been I met this girl out. I've been kind of talking to this girl for a few months. Like I'm super fucking busy, so I'm not like love bombing her. It's like exact opposite of love bombing.
Right.
When I'm in town, I hit her up. What's up?
Easy.
It's just very casual. She always hits me back, and I don't know. It's just been very, whatever. And out of nowhere, she posts a picture of the boyfriend, and she says in her post like.
well, look
I'm
at the
admitting,
time.
this is my boyfriend. I'm doing it. Like, let the haters hate, whatever. I was like,
Alpha fucks.
okay. Like, no, I don't care. We've never really, when it's not
Right.
my girlfriend, I don't give a shit. But it's like, okay,
That's
I
not
get
cool,
it.
though.
That's why I 0% offended. I'm more just like, well, looky here.
Well, dating in the
Yeah.
21st century is brand management, and the main way we do that is through Instagram. That's why you don't put pictures of your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your wife or whatever else it is, and particularly women who are advertising sexuality for
I'd
as long
rather
as they
get rid of
do.
it.
Because if you're with a guy and you're like, well, I don't know if this is going to work out or it's not, but I'm going to still keep putting like
Yeah.
nice, cool, sexy pictures of me on here with no what? Who is it? Aisha Curry and Stephen Curry. Like
Yeah.
Aisha Curry still wants to like put herself out there on Instagram and wants to get, male attention. She says as much on Red Table Talk, and it's like, and you're married to Stephen Curry, right?
Steph
You have
Curry.
kids with him as well,
She's
but
looking
that's
for
not
that
enough.
attention.
Yeah, if I
Well-
was in a relationship, I'd get rid of that.
Get rid of what?
Instagram.
If you're in a relationship.
I would make
Well, like you always see, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. They call it like the wrist in the photo, like a girl taking a picture.
It's a soft launch.
What is it?
A soft launch.
A soft launch.
What
You've
is
seen
that?
a picture? It's like if we were taking a selfie Brody, would you?
So I'll take a picture
Take it?
and I'll do like my
Yes.
feet, and then like in the corner you see that his feet are there too, or like a coffee table where there's
Soft
two
launch.
coffee
Or like,
mugs.
or let's do a
Wait,
cheer.
what is
Let's
it
do a
called?
cheers.
Yeah.
And you would do a selfie. Here, I'll show you.
Do you want to do soft launch?
Let's do it right now. Brody and I. So I would take a selfie of Brody and I, but I would only take a picture of me.
And you can see my long nails. You see it's a feminine
I see
hand.
her, and then here we'll take a real
That
one.
has to
Hey-o.
go. That has to go on.
So it's just a picture of me and a little bit of Brody's hand.
Who is she?
And like people, clearly we know you're with somebody, chick, okay? It's called a soft launch.
Yeah.
It's a term for this.
Yes.
Brody, unbelievable. It's also
How fucked
lingo.
up is that?
exactly. You
don't
were
want
nice
any
enough to
part
take me
of
out to
it.
dinner. You could buy me everything I wanted that night, but you ain't getting in the picture, buddy.
There's the funniest TikTok of this girl taking a video of her food, and then her like sugar daddy goes, "Are you gonna take a picture of me? Or are you gonna put me in
Tag
it?"
your sponsor.
Exactly, Tori. Tag your sponsor.
Yeah, I get it.
How many of these girls that travel around the world are
They're all
not
escorts.
tagging their sponsor?
They're all escorts.
I travel around the world a lot, and most of the time I do it with a group of girls and maybe like two guys that are either
Sponsoring?
this Vegas trip I paid for completely myself. Like there's
Yeah.
each time, but I went to Costa Rica with a guy that I was dating. He brought two of
Okay.
my girlfriends. Like, so it's not always like a person that you're
So,
with.
but did
Sometimes
you
it's-
tag your sponsor? Did you take a picture with him? And
He doesn't have Instagram, so
Oh, get the
I'm
fuck outta
exempt
here.
from this answer.
Unbelievable. All right. But
Couldn't even if I wanted to.
Yeah. let's
okay,
do it.
so
Yeah,
anyway,
let's
guys, for the
Let's
last
do it.
10 minutes of the show, we're going to take some phone calls. I assume, John, that their questions are going to be quick. They're going to tell us who they're addressing, and we'll answer it quickly, and we appreciate them calling in, yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh,
Go
boy.
ahead, John.
On the line,
Who's on the line?
Tristan.
Tristan.
Tristan Tate.
Not quite. So I don't know if this question is still relevant, but earlier the term toxic masculinity was used. So I was wondering if there's a distinction between toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. And are those two things different from, let's say, toxic humanity and dark triad?
Tristan, thank you for the question. I believe you
Interesting.
were talking about toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
If you would answer the question, and then Rollo, if you have a follow-up. Sure.
I was a little bit nervous about using that term because I know how
Well,
heavy it
Tristan
is.
wanted to know.
Yeah, but I think that toxic femininity and toxic masculinity are like the manifestation of toxicity when you are too wary, I guess, of the opposite sex, and you become almost hateful towards them. So toxic femininity, women saying, "I don't need no man, I don't need this, I'm a boss bitch," or whatever. Like, and then with men, it's is my woman doesn't need to talk. She's just gonna be, she just needs to look pretty and clean my house.
Beautiful
So
when you don't
both of those are stupid.
It's too much of one way or the other, is what you're
Exactly.
saying. Do you have
Yeah.
a follow-up for
There's a
this?
Steel Panther song for that.
That's what I think, but I'm no expert.
No, so toxic masculinity is bullshit. That's number one.
Bullshit, why?
Well, there's only masculinity, and there's aspects of masculinity that are convenient to women and that are inconvenient to women. So
Got it.
it's if a guy is fluffing his chest and full of bravado and stuff, you might want to see that on the basketball court. You might want to see that in sports. You might want to see that if your life is in danger and somebody's like posting up on him and you know the guy can fight, right? Oh, is that toxic? Well, it depends. Is your life in danger? Then I guess it's not toxic. It's only toxic masculinity until the floodwaters start rising and you need people to come, you need FEMA to come and pick you up, right?
Yeah.
So there's aspects of masculinity that are quote unquote toxic, but those are the ones that are inconvenient to the imperatives or the purposes of for a female mindset, right? So in a gynocentric feminine primary social order, we have terms like toxic masculinity, and it always defines the same masculine dynamic that women got no use for at that particular time until they do have a use for it. So it's toxic
that.
it's toxic masculinity until you need the firemen to go into the burning building and grab the baby out of there before it burns up and bring it out of the building. That's the same toxic masculinity that these guys on Jackass have and they express when they go and do some really dangerous, stupid stunt, right? If this comes from the same place, it's just contextualized differently. If women have a use for it, then it's not toxic. If they don't have a use for it, then, oh man, I can't believe guys are all dogs and pigs like that. That because it plays well, and again, it's also, it gets clicks and it gets eyes on the screen if you're going to go and use terms like that. So femininity as well. Toxic femininity. What do I have that's are you female? Are you feminine? Are you young? Or do you meet what I need? Or what's the toxic version of that? Well, you don't need anything I have that you don't need a man. I asked this last night on Fresh and Fit. I asked this one girl, I said, do you need a man? No, I don't need no man, but I want a man, right? It's like, well, men who aren't needed by you, they're not going to be, they want to be needed. There's that. You talk about how there's complements to one another, how that men and women are better together than they are apart. That comes from need, not from want.
I think they need to feel needed.
Yes.
I think women in general, generalizing, should understand that when they're with a male partner, it's important that they make them feel needed, even if they don't need them. Just to communicate, like,
that's pandering, though. That's contrivance. Is what that is.
I don't think that it's.
Oh, it's okay. I need you.
No, it's not. If I'm having a really, really hard day, and that's the person that I need to talk to, I could survive if I didn't speak to him or if he didn't, give me a back massage.
But see, you don't need him then.
Well, of course.
There's a fine line between
if you're
wants and needs.
If you're asking me, would I survive for the rest of my life without a man? The answer is yes, I would. Would it fulfill me? Would it make me a happy human being? No. So it would be a recipe for an unhappy life.
On some level of consciousness, there's a need for that guy then.
There's a need so that my well-being will be met. My well-being needs will be met.
Okay.
And I
so
also
he's an
say,
accessory then.
Tyler,
I feel like you're putting words in my mouth.
Hold on, there's more.
Hold on.
We got more calls.
Can I also say just one last thing? The definition of toxic masculinity that you gave, I think it was different than what I was describing. So if I can just say, maybe I wasn't using the correct terminology.
No one can define it. I just did a
Just
video
like
on
women.
this. Yeah, no, they asked a bunch of university students.
Okay.
There is no definition.
All right, well, Tristan, there you go. Sorry.
Thank you for your question.
Adam, we got Reza on the line. He's got a question.
Do it.
Go ahead, Reza. Who's it for?
It's for Rollo. Hey, Rollo, how you doing, man?
What's up? How's it going?
I've read your book. And hey, Mira, long time no see.
Hi. Oh, who are you?
Reza?
From DMV.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, we met at a Christmas party.
Shoot.
But, yeah, but anyways, let me
Are you in her Instagram?
My question. No,
Go ahead. What's your question?
So, yeah, sorry. So my question is, so my friends think I'm kind of misogynistic for not wanting to date a single mother. Mm-hmm. And the other part is also I don't want to date make more money than me because sometimes there is a little bit of a conflict. I guess girls, I guess they lose interest with me when they know that they make more money. I make more than 100K though. So like.
Okay, so what's your question? You're saying you make 100K and you're trying to go out with single women, but you're not interested. I'm sorry, with the single woman with kids, single moms.
I'm not interested in dating single mothers.
So your question is what? And can you
Is that
click off the other
misogynistic?
line, bro?
Yeah, who's calling?
Click them off.
Is that misogynistic?
That's us, Adam. They're
Okay,
pulling
gotcha.
up our phone,
What's your question then, bro?
It's not misogynistic. Just saying.
Yeah, my friends are basically trying to ask me to back up my point, and I keep telling them that I just don't want to pay for another kid.
How old are you?
Another offspring.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay.
Killing
And are all your
it.
friends married?
No.
And why are you even like giving a second thought to what your
And?
friends think
Yeah.
about you dating a single mom? And why don't you
No,
just go
I'm-
find another girl?
Right. I know. The thing is, they find it very strange, and I just want to
I think
know
it's kind of strange that they're
They're finding that.
they're finding
strange.
that strange that you don't want to just yeah. Like I have an aunt of mine that is always trying to set me up with. Thank you for your question. With people who are like women who have been divorced with kids, and I'm thinking. I'm not going to say her name. Why the hell would I want to go raise somebody else's kids? I live in South Beach. Do you know how many beautiful women are out there that I could go out with? Like, I'm going to go raise someone else's kids? Thanks, Aunt Mel. I'm gonna be okay. I appreciate that.
You're meant
so you
to
should
be
probably tell your
repulsed.
friends the same thing. I'm not saying that you should never date somebody with kids. Like, obviously, you can fall in love, but there's so many options out there. There's so many fish in the sea. if your friends are pressuring you to date a single mom with kids,
You're not a superhero
Yeah,
for doing
like,
it.
what do you-
There's
why-
there's no reward for it. There's no special medal that
No.
they give you for being a single dad. You're not the dad who stepped up, okay?
exactly.
Yeah,
You don't need
it's-
that in your life, bro.
The
She's
reason why guys,
Especially if you've never had kids. If you're a single dad with kids, okay, I get it. If you've never had kids, now you're raising a 6-year-old. What the hell do you know?
We did a full show on this just yesterday, and we were talking about promiscuity, and we were talking about the hesitancy of men to get with single mothers, and it's an innate instinctual hesitancy because it contradicts men's interest in paternity. So when a woman has a high body count, guys want to stay away from that, more or less. Because that woman is a bad bet for his own paternity. I need to know that the kid is mine because I don't want to be cuckolded. I don't want to be putting in resources into a child that is not going to carry my genes into perpetuity. The next thing is that when a woman already has kids, that question's already answered. That's not my kid. So guys are hesitant to want to get into a relationship with a single mother because that's a resource drain. And when guys get into situations like that, they lose opportunity costs, which I'm sure you're familiar with that term because that's an
very much
economic
so.
term. So the opportunities that he could be, unlimited access to unlimited sexuality and getting with a woman who doesn't have kids is being compromised by getting with a woman who does have kids.
So bottom line, tell your friends to fuck off.
Paternity is evolution built into why men get jealous is because we want to know the kid's our damn kid. That's why.
Yeah.
Do either of you ladies disagree with Rollo and I?
No, they get
I
repulsed.
don't disagree.
Okay.
I think, but I also think women, maybe not for the same reasons, but also women are not, immediately excited by a guy who has a child.
But you're more attracted
The
to a guy.
women
when he's
actually
got
find that men who
some
have
kid.
kids are
Yeah.
more attractive because they're showing the
Dad bod.
paternal,
Yep. He's
Well,
a
maybe just
proven
me
commodity.
specifically.
Why
Yeah.
women are attracted to
Probably.
dad
Yeah,
bods.
I just think it's your preference, and if your
Don't
friends
go
are
there.
telling you like
Yeah,
Okay.
that you're
women-
misogynist,
Eric, John, do we have
that's
another
stupid.
question?
We got one more.
All
Okay,
right.
one more. Last question,
one.
and then we'll wrap up. Go ahead, buddy.
You better have an Irish accent.
Yeah, same freaking Patty's there.
Fake
All
it.
right, Am I on right?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
are.
you
Looks like
are.
you're on the
Dude.
Soscast live. Go ahead.
Do it.
Oh, okay. How you doing?
Do
This
it
question's for
now!
Rollo.
Okay. They all are.
So I'm 31. I read your book actually when I was 24. The girls can answer this question also. So I met my girlfriend in college. Now I'm 31, have my own business. I make about $500,000 a year, and monogamy really doesn't sound like the best option for me long term. So I guess I'm trying to ask, should I broach it with my girlfriend about continuing the relationship or having a polygamous type relationship?
Polygamy? Poly. You want to get into poly? Are you trying to say you want a main and you want other girls? Is that what you're saying?
I hate poly. It doesn't work.
Poly's not because that you remember you were asking me about where would we go with this marriage stuff? That's one of the options that
think
people
it
are
will.
throwing out right now.
It doesn't work.
No, I don't.
Shot.
I would say yes.
Please,
Here
if you
we
would.
go.
I would. So here's my advice to you: is break up with her. If that's the case, then
Bless
don't.
yourself.
The problem that I have with
Ready?
poly is not a religious one or a spiritual one or anything like that. It is because it is impractical. Why not simply spin plates? Why not simply just have why have a main at all and just simply play the field until you get to the point you're 31.
Yeah, and you're making that kind of money.
$500,000.
Congratulations,
You're
by the
hitting
way.
your stride. Yeah, congratulations. You will hit your stride with your sexual market value peak. Will probably be up 34 to 36 somewhere
How
in
old's
there.
the girlfriend?
Yeah, how old is the girl?
Sorry.
Hello.
Is he gone? Maybe he's gone.
Yeah, dump her
Well,
while
so
she's still in her prime.
I mean, the advice is the same. It's not that. I mean, don't pull a Gary Vee. I mean, because that's what happens when you say, "Well, should I get rid of her? Or should I not
But
get
then
rid of her?"
again, now
And
is
then
the
she gets to
time.
46.
on
Now is the
tour.
time.
Now is the time, and you do make a clean break. And this is not like an ethical or a moral thing. This is just a practical thing. Because if you're calling into this show to ask about that, then yeah, you probably need to just make a clean break and get out there because you're entering your sexual market
Stride.
value peak years and you're in peak selectivity. So why not? And you're realizing that now because you already made a commitment or you already have some sort of you're locked down right now. Do yourself a favor and do her the favor as well. Don't turn her into Gary V's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do her a favor.
Please don't.
Do you ladies agree?
Completely. I also
Okay.
think there's a difference between polyamory and like more open relationship.
what's
You don't
the
necessarily. Well, polyamory, you need to give your time, your dedication, and emotion into multiple people
Multiple
at once.
wives, yeah.
And if you have your main girl, and you're sexually curious and you're young still, then you can have a conversation with the person that you love about what's going to make you happy, and try and compromise. But maybe I'm too idealistic.
Until jealousy kicks, because men and women
They
handle
haven't
jealousy
studied.
differently.
I don't think
Well,
it's something
yeah.
that needs to define the relationship. I think it's something that like it's a one-time, two-time thing.
There's
once a
no
year.
relationship at that point. There's simply no relationship.
So that's why I said maybe I'm idealistic, but I also think that
Well,
like
that's-
it's a conversation you shouldn't be having with us. You should be having.
Well,
with
yeah,
her.
that too. But
Yeah.
I would say this is that instead of entertaining these stupid ideas of maybe I can make it work with this my main chick and have side chicks, or maybe I can do why even have that
Yeah,
conversation
don't
and just like play the field. If
Yeah.
if
Just
you're
play the field,
just-
gentlemen.
yeah.
All right, we're wrapping this thing up. Guys, thank you. This has
Thank
been awesome.
you.
I think we've had an awesome discussion. We've drank a little bit.
Yeah.
A little.
St. Patty's Day. I'm going to give each of you guys the opportunity to do final thoughts. Before we do that, Rollo, your final thoughts.
Yes.
You're working on something. Give
I
us a little. Fill us
remember
in.
when we were talking about how I like to put money into projects and stuff like that?
Yes, sir.
I'm doing this with Kevin Savo as well. This is the Red Pill Lions.
Captain Savo-ho.
Yeah, Captain Savo-ho. He and his brother Rocky and myself and Charlie from Cultivate Crypto actually came on with us not too long ago. I think it was on Wednesday last week. And we're doing an NFT. We're doing a red pill NFT.
Nice.
And so people say, "Oh, this is a money grab. It's a rug pull." Blah blah blah. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm Rollo Tomassi. I have a reputation to uphold. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think that this was important. The reason why we're doing this is because it's really, to my knowledge anyways, it's the first red pill like inspired NFT. It's called Red Pill Lions. We'll play the video here in just a second, but let me just give you a little precursor here. The reason we're doing this is because two of the most popular NFTs right now is like World of Women, and I can't remember the other one, but World of Women was, I think it's sponsored by Reese Witherspoon, and even Logan Paul like put $100,000 or $800,000 into it when it first came out, because he was interested in it money wise. But it is an NFT that is specifically for like feminist, pro-feminist causes. And to take the money that's generated for it to put it back into like, that's why they call it World of Women, right? Well, we're like, okay, fine. If we want to put our money where our mouths are when it comes to the red pill, we need to have a red pill NFT. And that's why we started this right here.
So we have a video? Are you saying we have a video?
Yeah, we do. And the money
Let's see the video.
that's generated from this goes back into red pill projects. That's what I'm
Nice.
saying.
Let's see this video real quick.
Sure.
Volume.
Do we got audio?
I think that's the guys in the back.
Gentlemen, do we have audio? You want to play this again with audio? Or this is it?
Should
All right.
I sing?
Or are we not hearing it and it's going out?
It's probably.
Looks like the volume's all the way up.
They might be
Anyway, that's Kevin.
hearing it.
Captain Sabo. All right, where can they find this?
Anyways, you can find it at redpilllions.com. This is the short version of this
Okay.
anyways.
Well, cool.
And then we have a Discord server. If you want to get on the white list, all that will be in the description. You can go and have a look at that. And then, so we're on Discord. You can follow us on Twitter, and redpilllions.com is the website.
And the people that want to follow you and get your book, where should they follow?
Oh, yeah. You can follow me. I am at therationalmail.com. That's my blog. All of my books are available on Amazon. All you got to do is just type in The Rational Mail, and you'll find all 4 of them, soon to be 5. And you can, if you have questions for me, you can always hit me up on Twitter. I'm on Instagram as well. Twitter, I am Rollo Tomassi at Rational Mail.
There it is. Well, Rollo, awesome to
Thank
have you
you.
here.
Thanks for having me again.
Tori. Tori.
Yes. Oh, were
Lovely
even
having you. Give
Thank
me
you
just
so
your
much.
final thoughts on everything we discussed today and where people can find you.
I thought this was a really good discussion. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
And you can find me on YouTube at Torshaa with 2 A's, TORSHAA. And on Instagram, my website's torshaa.com, TikTok, Spotify, Apple, Google Play, anywhere.
Everything's Torshaa.
Yeah.
And what were you saying about why they need to subscribe or click the like button? What do they need to do?
Do it or your mom's a hoe.
Oh, yeah. Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Brody, finish off strong.
I just really appreciate being invited. Thank you so much. And I had such an interesting conversation with all of you guys. I think it's way more productive than ones that I've had in the past. So I appreciate that. If you want to follow me and see more of my controversial opinions, feel free to follow me on TikTok. That's my main content creating platform. It's at Meira Brody, so it's spelled MEIRABRODY. Same for my Instagram. And my Instagram is just pretty pictures of me, so you're more than welcome to follow me there too. But TikTok is where I'm.
Apparently, there's a soft launch on there now
Soft
too.
launch on there. Watch out for those wrists on there. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Tyler, what was our max that we had live out here today?
2,100.
2,100. Thank you guys to the thousands of people that are here. This video is probably going to get a couple 100,000 views. So I want to thank Rollo Tomassi, the man, being here, Torshaa being here, and Brody.
Hey.
Thank you for pouring shots for everybody. We do this live every Thursday. Except for next week, we're going to be doing it live Friday. It's Ultra Weekend here in Miami. We're going to be having some DJs on. And then we can go out to Story Nightclub later than that.
visit me.
People ask me all the time, Soz, you're a financial guy. I want you talking about finance. That's what it is. Well, sorry. Money makes the world go around. You know, the richest woman in the world got that through money. So we're going to be
Divorce.
talking. Exactly. Through
Yeah.
divorce. So we're going to talk about dating, relationships, how money plays a part of it, lifestyle, all that kind of stuff here on the Soscast on Valuetainment money. All right. So if you don't subscribe,
If you don't subscribe, your mom's a hoe.
your mom's a hoe. Thank you everybody for coming. And as always, save that money.